such is the sheer number. The 11th, named White Dogwood, is a downhill 520-yard par 4 with a pond to the left of the green and a bunker to the right. Both cause a lot of trouble each year. The 12th, Golden Bell, is perhaps the most famous hole in the world, with Dane on the left. You chicken. Tiger Woods once said, if you make 4 bogeys from Thursday to Sunday, you're doing well. And the highest ever score on that hole? 13. It's a par 3. Tom Weiskopf in 1980 was the sorry soul. Often the iconic Ben Hogan Bridge is the only thing players enjoy about Golden Bell. Even if you escape there unscathed though, you met with Azalea, the dogleg par 5 13th. It tempts players to go for the green in 2, but cut over those trees on the left at your peril. Every year, it seems, Amen Corner destroys someone's dreams. Rory McIlroy dropped 3 shots through here as his round unravelled in 2011. In 2016, a year after navigating Amen Corner expertly, Jordan Spieth shot a quadruple bogey on the 12th to throw away his green jacket. I mean, it sounds like my game, to be honest. So who'll be the next to be brought to their knees, praying for mercy after Amen Corner?
they're just nothing. 8 starts, 4 starts. It's not a really good reflection that how can they grow into the senior team when they're not getting starts.
Well, this is it. And if we use Jude Bellingham as the example, of course, he blossomed, didn't he, in the Bundesliga, and which led to
and his brothers are now following suit.
There is a thing of youngsters now going abroad and are being less afraid to go and play their football in the Bundesliga, in the French league, the Italian league as well.
Well, there's a fact that's happening, and that's because agents are now saying, well, look, you're not going to get a start in the Premier League. You're going to get a move because clubs need to have their financial house in order. So they have to sell their homegrown product. So the homegrown product now to go abroad and get a regular start makes a lot of sense for an agent, because they're obviously still going to be, their name is still roaming around the Premier League. So if they do well abroad, they'll come back to the Premier League. The agent will win twice then.
Yeah.
So
we're seeing it with Gittins now coming to Chelsea.
Correct.
Someone that was at Manchester City as a youngster. Before that, even when he was super young, he was at Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea, Arsenal, City, etc. So.
And Jude would have come back if it wasn't for the success that he had, and obviously then ended up at Real Madrid.
Would you, if you had if you was an agent or you had a young son or something that was playing now who wasn't necessarily getting the game and they're doing really well in the under-21 scene, would you suggest to them to go abroad?
Definitely,
yeah,
I would, and but not just for the financial reasons, which actually make a lot of sense as well, purely for their education and to have a feel of continental football, how different it can be. Italian is completely different to Spanish, as you'd imagine. It's a lot of culture involved in which country you go to. So it's key that you go to, you embrace their culture, embrace their style, but also bring that into your style. Don't become one of them. Use it to grow yourself as a player.
Now, the question that we need to ask, of course, is the under-21 has been so successful. Of course, you mentioned that Freddie was also part of that under-17s team that won the World Cup.
Yeah.
Seeing our youth excelling on a world stage, and especially when you see with Spain, with like Yamal and Nico Williams, etc., who ended up playing in the main team and having success there, why are we not able to translate that into the first team? Now, I want to ask you as a coach, because when I'm watching some of these players play football, especially when I go over to like academies and watch academy players play, there's a level of technical ability and freedom and the way they are on the ball that just feels like, it almost feels from the outside looking in, and now that's why I want your opinion because you're the expert, it's almost like coached out of them by the time they get into the main team. Now, when we brought Thomas Tuchel in, the whole point was we wanted to come away from being 1-0 up against Italy in a final and being, we're going to defend now. We want to use these players like the Phil Fodens of this world.
Well, I don't think Thomas Tuchel was brought in for that. I thought he was purely brought in, his contract stated, to win the World Cup, right? That's it.
But for me, looking from the outside in, it doesn't feel like much has changed in terms of, because obviously he's got Henderson still there and that. And as fans, we were frustrated last season at the Euros because we were waiting 70 minutes to bring on, arguably at the time, the best player in the Premier League, Cole Palmer, who come on, instant impact, etc. Now, do you feel these players are being overcoached in systems that they lose their expression and their tenacity, so to speak?
Well, I'm 50-50 on that one, because some of that I agree with. And one of the problems I had as a manager is watching academy coaches coach. And what they're doing is an elaborate coaching session, which is purely them ticking boxes for themselves. They're almost asking a question of the players and they want it ticked. So they want the player to understand how that particular coaching regime is being developed, rather than the freedom of the player expressing himself. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like a regimented session, and the coach thinks it's gone really well because it's like it all worked. 2 passes, have 2 touches, play out wide, get in the box, hang around the box. Finish if it comes to the edge. All that kind of stuff takes away, a lot of freedom of the player. Having said that, you're talking about a completely different level of scrutiny and pressure between under-21 performing and national team performing. It's night and day, really. And it's a bit like academy football and first team football. Academy football is obviously is serious and it's everything's done to order, but the pressure and the scrutiny is not the same as playing in the first team. So, and players can either cope with that and some can't. And of course, people like Carl Palmer you mentioned, no problem coping with the first team. He almost took his game from the academy in that relaxed style straight into the first team, and he was a breath of fresh air.
Even to the point of the way that he dealt with the City thing, going, no, I want to play football, so I'm off.
Yeah. So you do get those kind of players still coming through the system. Does some of that get knocked out? I think it probably does in that kind of coaching way that I'm talking about. So I think our broadness of flair players has shrunk because maybe a bit too regimented around the coaching. I would agree with that.
Who is, when you think about England players, right, who is our last kind of Paul Gascoigne, so to speak? Would it be Wayne Rooney? Like someone that had the license to kind of
Well, I think when like, particularly on talkSPORT, and you get pundits or whatever on TV and they say, oh, he's a street footballer.
Yeah.
When they say that about a player, what they actually mean is he's actually just playing off the cuff. He's playing what's like instinctively.
Yeah.
And I think we have had players like that. Phil Foden is a player I think is like that. But actually, there are other times with him that he looks like he's been sort of coached out of it a little bit.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
So Phil Foden is a player that concerns me because when he first burst in the scene, it almost like it was freedom for him.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm playing in the first team and I'm just going to enjoy it. And now it's all got serious and it's all got like matter of fact and you've got to keep your position and you've got to do your defensive work. He's kind of lost some of that. Sometimes this happens just for a year or so, and hopefully Foden will get back to that freedom again. And Palmer, let's be honest, at the back end of last year,
terrible,
got kind of caught out in this sort of trap of not really doing anything.
Yeah.
And then in the final, of course, that was a great comment. He said, he was sitting down with himself almost, looked at himself in the mirror and said, I've got to do something here.
Yeah, 100%.
And freed himself up.
But again, that almost felt like an indirect at the manager because I stopped listening to what he said and I did what I do.
Well,
that's what it felt like a little.
Yeah, no, but I genuinely think that's most sports, that basketball and it can be overcoached and over kind of worked, the system, to take away some of that individual. Look at that great Chicago Bears team of Jordan, et cetera, et cetera.
And the Bulls.
Yeah. They sort of come out of there. That was almost like the sort of pinnacle of coaching, like having a team that was well disciplined but had so much freedom and flair that they more or less were like the Globetrotters at the end. Yeah,
but that's kind of like what Pep's Barcelona was, wasn't it? Because you had the individuals that were able to play the system.
Yeah.
But my issue is, again, as you mentioned Phil Foden, now Jack Grealish that went to Manchester City and the Jack Grealish that's probably going to leave this summer, two different people. Is that, again, coaching all of the tenacity out of these players?
Well, I think a lot of it comes from confidence as well, because he went there where his confidence was like super high.
Sky high, yeah.
And he's been knocked. He's not made the team. He only made the bench. Now he's out the squad. Like, he's had proper hits of his confidence.
I don't think Pep Guardiola can deal with maverick players, in my opinion.
Well, that's your opinion. But
that's obviously my opinion. But I think
Bernardo Silva, it didn't do too bad.
I know, but if it's out of his system, if there's any kind of thing that shows to him that you're not going to do what's required by his system, then
I don't actually agree with that, Madge. But
Sane is another one. I thought he was brilliant at Manchester City again.
I thought he was. I didn't think he was as brilliant as he's been at Bayern Munich.
Yeah, but then
sometimes players grow. Look at Salah, who was at Chelsea. He looked like a shadow of a player, and of course now he's become one of the world's greats. But
interesting stuff.
The thing about football is it's never perfect, right? It's never perfect, and a player isn't perfect. You could go back. You could say, if I said to a manager, what is your perfect performance last year, right? And if they said, it was a 2-0 win at, let's say, Coventry or something like that, I know I could watch that video and pick out moments where their team was rubbish and they got away with it, or there was a chance that should have been taken and it wasn't, and the timing. So nothing's perfect, and it's all about kind of being as good as you can be as a team and as a player. Grealish at the moment, bless his heart, he just needs to get away, doesn't he? And free himself up.
And I hope he does, because he's such a talent. Now, the Women's Euros gets underway this week, and you can hear it live across the talkSPORT network. And right now, England women are taking on Jamaica in a warm-up game. And here, with all the latest, is talkSPORT's Natalie Pike.
And it is England 1, Jamaica 0, and it is another beautiful goal from Ella Toone. And gents, if you were talking about mavericks in the women's game, you'd have to put Ella Toone into the conversation. It's her 20th goal for England. She's on the edge of the box and she curls the ball beautifully into the top right of the Jamaican Jamaica net. It has been all England. A great attacking first 15 minutes here at the King Powder Stadium. It's England 1, Jamaica 0.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Natalie. We're going to have updates throughout the show on that as well. So it's time to get your calls in on Lee Carsley's all-conquering under-21 team. Who were your stand-up players and why did we enjoy the football so much in this tournament when the first team brought people into an early night? 03717 223344 is the number to call, or send us your WhatsApp messages to the same number and we'll hear from you next on the Final Word phone in here on talkSPORT.
Women's Euro 2025 Switzerland on talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2. Origin! Coverage starts Wednesday night as hosts Switzerland take on Norway in the opening game of the tournament. Live from Basel. Brilliant goal! Kick-off 8 p.m. on talkSPORT. Be sincere. Be sincere. Oh, be sincere.
It is the Final Word phone with Madge and Pards on your Sunday afternoon while most people are enjoying Glastonbury. You been watching Glastonbury, Pards?
I watched The Magnificent Ray last night.
You love Ray, didn't you?
I love Ray. I'm all over her. She's brilliant.
You ever met her?
No.
I'll have to get you to a concert. And
Really? Oh, that'd be great.
I got a great photo of me and her. Nice cuddle after a gig once. Lovely lady.
Yeah, she's like, she's so maverick and her songs are like so individual, yet she seems so grounded.
Yeah, she's cool, man, and she's doing really well.
Yeah, brilliant.
Underneath us, the sounds of MJ Cole, Elizabeth Troy with Sincere. They've been at Glastonbury this weekend. Do you like a bit of UK garage, Pards?
Not quite sure what that is, mate, to be honest.
What you're hearing in the background?
Yeah, that was good. I quite like that one.
It's quite jazzy, though, this one.
Sincere.
Yeah, MJ Cole's a classically trained pianist.
Oh, okay.
So that's why the music's so good. There's been a goal between England and Jamaica. Let's go
England
to Natalie
2-0.
Pike.
It's got to be 2-0.
It's not. It's England 1, Jamaica 1, and honestly, it is a horrendous goal. I can't help but think this is going to send shockwaves through the England setup on how easily they've conceded this goal. It came from a corner. The corner itself was conceded when Kiki Van Santen was able to easily get past Jess Carter on the left. They played a low corner. One of the players stepped over it in a nicely worked move, but it felt like the ball was so slow that I can't believe nobody got to it. But McKenna was waiting in the middle. She shot, and it's into the back of Hannah Hampton's net. It's a really disappointing goal. It is England 1, Jamaica 1.
There you go. I told you there's going to be goals in this game today. Thank you, Natalie. Updates throughout the show with that. 03717 22 3344. So, from the England women hoping to defend their Euros title to the England under-21s who did, and this is how it sounded on talkSPORT.
Brave young Lions, they've come, they've seen, and they've conquered Europe once again.
and win a second European Championships. It would be great for them.
I mean, you've got like 7-8 starters that have been unavailable for the Club World Cup or injury.
He checks his watch, blows his whistle, and ends this dark contest of football. It's ended England 0, Slovenia 0.
It's been a real mixed bag for England in this competition. 1 win, 1 draw, 1 defeat.
A little bit underwhelming first couple of games, but they've really showed what they're about.
Well, this game has been labelled as a Classico fixture by Spain boss Santi Denia.
Like I say, I've got a lot of belief in them. They're an exciting team. They're really together. They've grown as the tournament's gone on.
It's Anderson. It's destination Bratislava. England are into the semi-finals surely now of the Under-21 Championship.
So who knows what can happen in the semi-final? This is tournament football.
Harvey Elliott with his second, and he's done enough to win it for England. There's that moment of inspiration.
Every game England play, someone has stepped up for England.
And England's young guns are through to another final.
We want to try and win it.
To Morton, who delivers a great cross. Header in! John Rowe! It's England 3, Germany 2, early in extra time. McAtee gets hold of the gleaming trophy. 1982, 84, 2023, and now 2025. England's young guns are kings of Europe again. The winners of the Under-21 Euros in 2025 are England.
And that is how it sounded on the magnificent talkSPORT. Great coverage throughout the tournament. And of course, we will have the coverage of the Women's Euros here on talkSPORT as well. Makes you proud listening to that, doesn't it, Pards?
Yeah, and congratulations to Lee and all the staff and the team. And what an excellent performance to back it up. Very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. To get back-to-back wins in that competition. When you look at the incredible pool of talent there is internationally, you know, and it just begs the question, as I say, how do we translate that into the men's team? And, you know, we heard the name Harvey Elliott there. Now, that guy has been involved in Liverpool for the last, four or 5 seasons he's been there now?
94 games he's had, 35 starts for Liverpool, but only 2 this season.
Yes.
Only 2.
Well, that shows he's not in Arne Slot's plans then. Does he need to have a move away, and where would he be welcome, Pards? Could he get a top 6 team, do you think, Harvey Elliott?
Possibly. I mean, you know... Again, he obviously has come through the academy system at Liverpool. I believe he has. So, you know, that would go straight on.
Pardon, stop you there. I'm going to go back to Natalie Pike because there's an update in the England-Jamaica women's game.
Yeah, everybody breathe. It's England 1, Jamaica 0. Their goal has been disallowed. There was a very slow VAR check that took place, and they have deemed that Kiki Van Zenten was stood in front of Hannah Hampton when the shot by Kayla McKenna was taken. So a reprieve for England. Worrying still, nonetheless, but it is England 1, Jamaica 0.
Thank you, Natalie. Updates throughout the show there between England and Jamaica. Still 1-0 to England as it was chalked off. Sorry, Pardew was talking about Harvey Elliott there.
Yeah, and I just think that the fact that these young players can come straight off your financial situation, you know, give you an asset of 35, 40 million, you know, if you can sell one of the young players, it makes it very attractive for those top clubs to sell these players on. But you've got to be wary, you know, and Carl Palmer, we talked about earlier, as an example of them moving. And then doing exceptionally well somewhere else.
Cole Palmer is an exception, isn't he, really?
Yeah. I don't think Elliott's quite at that level, but that's probably unfair on him. You know, we probably need to see a little bit more of him. Hopefully we will this year.
Absolutely. Let's get to the phone lines. Adam's a Man United fan. He joins us on the Final Word. Evening, Adam.
Good afternoon, lads. How you doing?
Yeah, very well. Very proud of the Under-21s. I've been watching the tour. You know what? I've been more invested, obviously, in the Under-21s than I have in this Club World Cup.
Absolutely, yeah. I said to your producer, I feel as though Lee Carsley has done an amazing job. Obviously, he didn't want the big gig. I'm glad he didn't. When I'm looking at his game management was superb. Just standout performances for me were both centre-backs. I thought they were fantastic. Harvey Elliott we've discussed. Stansfield up front was brilliant. But the player that shone for me was Anderson. I think he reminded me of Scott Parker. He didn't shy away from anything. He went forward with the ball, happy to receive the ball in tight situations. I don't know if Alan ever coached Scott Parker. I was trying to wreck my head there thinking about it. But I think the similarities are very similar actually. But you're on about Harvey Elliott as well. And I think given more time and given more games, I think he is a bit Gazza-esque. And I don't know what you guys think about that as well.
Pods?
Yeah, I mean, just going back to Anderson, I know for a fact that Eddie Howe was absolutely livid that he had to lose that boy. They knew how good he was, and of course he's proved that at Notts Forest, but it purely was a financial move from the board at Newcastle to move him on. I mean, when you come down to Elliott, the Liverpool boy, I mean, I just don't know where he would get in that team. And when you look at Liverpool at the moment with their new signings, wow, you know, it really is going to be difficult for him to kind of back this up now, this trophy win, because obviously he's been at the centre of everything, hasn't he?
Yeah, there was one more thing as well, James. I just look at my club and someone like Kobe Mainoo. He seems to be now, he's in almost like an international abyss. You know, Southgate called him up. I don't think he's going to get called up under Tuchel. I would rather him have stayed with the under-21s and really, you know, applied his trade and, you know, got used to a setup. I just think he's in no man's land now, and I don't know what your opinion is on that.
Well, the problem you do have is that crossover from under-21s to senior is that there is this period of, like, sometimes can be 3-4 years before they break into the England squad. The one thing I would say with the current system is that they do try to progress them through the groups. You know, the under-17s, the under-19s, the under-21s, and then obviously to the senior team. And obviously that level is so much higher. And that is where a lot of these players, unfortunately, their careers kind of end at under-21 level.
Yeah.
At international level, I'm talking about.
03717 223344 is the number to call. We're going to obviously speak about our grassroots football as well. I mean, lots of football tournaments this weekend, as always.
There's a few tournaments this Sunday. I went past them when I was driving in.
And very hot as well.
Oof. I hope they had plenty of water on the side. Like the mum's brought all the water.
Lots of presentations as well. So if you want to shout out to your son, daughter, niece, nephew, grandson, granddaughter, whatever
like to hear about hat tricks.
Yeah, we love
double hat tricks. Yeah, like your boy got.
Yeah, so we'd like to hear from you. 03717 223344. It's the final word phone in here on talkSPORT.
With your latest headlines, I'm Matt Hutchinson. Glastonbury Festival's organiser says punk duo Bob Vylan crossed the line with anti-Israel chants which are being assessed by police. Emily Avis says there's no place for hate speech at the event. A man's been arrested on suspicion of murder after a pregnant mother of two was found dead in Northern Ireland yesterday afternoon. 27-year-old Sarah Montgomery's family are being supported by specialist officers. The head of the UN's nuclear watchdog believes Iran could begin the process of making uranium needed to make a bomb within months. Rafael Grossi says the damage on Tehran's facilities from US airstrikes was not total. And Donald Trump has told Fox News that he's found a group of very wealthy people to buy TikTok. A deadline on a ban has recently been extended to bring the Chinese-owned app into American hands.
Talk Sport with Bostik. If you're looking for a professional grade sealant that offers technologically advanced performance, choose Bostik Pro Sealants.
A couple of breaking sport lines. The Eubank Ben rematch is on. We'll have more in just a few moments. And Thomas Partey is leaving Arsenal on a free. I'll have more sport at 6.
talkSPORT Podcast League. Outspoken. The best of White and Jordan.
Radio's sharpest sports debate. Triple distilled into one unmissable daily download.
How much of a game changer is this going to be?
White versus Jordan. Now with added time.
We want to see a proper fight.
A sublime strike partnership of White.
Give us your gut feeling.
And Shade.
Players aren't good enough. Coach isn't good enough. Board isn't good enough.
Outspoken.
Now that's hard, isn't it? That's harsh.
Out now.
You can only be offended if you choose to be.
Listen or download for free from your favourite podcast portal.
Good evening, you're listening to the Final Word Phone in here on talkSPORT with me, Majestic, and experienced Premier League manager Alan Pardew. Before we get back to your calls, let's head over to Leicester for an update of England women taking on Jamaica in Euro 2025 warm-up game. With all the latest, it's talkSPORT's Natalie Pike.
Oh, we've got a goal the second that you've just come to me. England 2, Jamaica 0. Thankfully, England settled back down after that scare of the Jamaica goal being disallowed by VAR. But they have now gone 2-0 up, and it is Lucy Bronze. She was at the back post. Of course, Lucy Bronze, one of the most capped England players of all time. Her 19th goal now for England. She was kind of unmarked at the back post. She riz up well, header to the ball, into the back left corner of the net. England 2, Jamaica 0.
Thank you, Natalie. Right, let's go back to the phone lines. Michael's a Man United fan. He joins us. How are we, Michael?
Lovely, boys. How are you?
It's nice not to have to talk about Spurs or Manchester United on a Sunday afternoon being rubbish. It's nice to talk about something else.
Yeah, something more better.
Let's talk about the England under-21s, Michael. As I said, very proud what I saw in this tournament. And, of course, started off a bit shaky and then we grew into it. Back-to-back wins down the Euros. What did you make of Lee Carsley's team?
Well, I'll put it this way. I'll be kicking all the senior players out and putting this lot in because they can do something that no other team has ever done yet. Under Southgate, they haven't won anything. And there are any, when you look at some of the great football players we've had, you've had Beckham, Scholes, Neville's, Shearer and all the rest of them, they couldn't win anything. This lot just came in. They don't play all the time. They switch and change how much playing time had been done over England, but there's so much togetherness, I couldn't believe how well they played.
What would you put that down to, Pards, like the togetherness of the group and that? Would you put that down to Lee Carsley's environment, the team, and the way that he puts together a camp?
Yeah, definitely. You would have to say that has been, significant in their progress. But I think the fact that he also got the England job would have stood him in good stead because I think if he was an under-21 player, and your manager's been given the senior job for a short caretaker period, that gives him a little bit of elevation as
kudos.
Well. A bit of kudos is the right word. So I think there was a bit of that. And they go in this tournament, as you say, normal. When teams win the World Cup, they don't always just plough through it and be brilliant. It's like a process that you have to go through some rough times in the games, which we did, and then ended up winning it. So, hopefully this is a reflection on what the senior team might do next year. But my fear for that is that this squad isn't going to be good enough to win the World Cup. I just don't see it.
Yeah, no, I hear you in that. In terms of the manager, Michael, obviously he took charge of the men's national team and then went back to his job with the under-21s. Do you think he could manage in the Premier League?
Well, yeah. I think he can.
Pards, LMA hat on?
Yeah, of course, he's going to earn a right to a senior job somewhere for sure. I mean, I have to say that I think his short stint at England probably wasn't his best effort. I really don't think that. I didn't think it, made a bit of a pickle a bit. A couple of tactical things he did there. He took a bit of a gamble. Yeah. Some of his press conferences I thought were okay, perhaps a bit mediocre. So I think next he'll learn from that. And I think next time he comes in, and it might well be in the senior job. We know we've had this succession with Gareth. We know Thomas, unless he wins the World Cup, which I think is unlikely, will be gone in 18 months' time. So he'll be sitting pretty, won't he?
Surely, if you're looking at the next England manager, there's one name on the list. It's Eddie Howe.
Oh, well, Eddie definitely has to be on it. He should have been on it last time.
Yeah.
But, he will be on it this time, I'm confident of that. But so will Lee Carsley after this success. You know, he definitely will be in the frame.
Great to speak to you, Michael. Thank you very much. Hi, lads. Tony said Harvey Elliott has won more trophies than many of England's senior squad already. Have a look on Wikipedia. Also, Chris says Elliott came from Fulham for a fee. Do your research, guys. We didn't say he didn't come from Fulham.
No, I actually did say I thought he come through the academy.
Oh, no. Yeah, he was at Fulham for a long time. Do you know how I know that?
Go on.
He used to come to my parties when he was younger.
No,
when he was at Fulham, yeah, like when he was a youngster. Because I used to do like under 18 shows.
Is he a Londoner?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Good lad. Very nice lad. Very proud of him. He's done very, very well.
Good for him.
03717223344 is the number to...
Well, he can come back to Fulham.
Well,
I mean, that would be perfect for me, for him, for everybody at Fulham.
To be fair, the way that Fulham are going and the team that they've got there, he'd be perfect. He'd slot in perfectly with Fulham.
Whether I don't know, Fulham very, very quiet in the transfer business, I've noticed.
Yeah, is it worryingly quiet?
Worryingly quiet.
I'll tell you where it's not been quiet is, of course, with Crystal Palace, your former team. So many of those players there, people having a look, they're talking about the two, of course, that stand out, Eberiche Eze and of course, Mark Gay.
Yeah.
Do you think both of them are likely to leave this summer if the valuations are met?
Gay, definitely, because he's out of contract in a year's time, and you know that's going to put added pressure. I do think, though, that they can really gamble. If I was in charge of the transfer there, I wouldn't be selling him until the last 2 weeks of the winter, maybe even the last week. I would wait, because that price is only going to go one way, and that's up. On Eze's front, I think he's secured for 2 or 3 years on his contract, so I think they can be a bit bolder. I don't think there's any financial pressure there. They have new owners again into Crystal Palace, more funds coming in. So I think Eze will stay, and I don't think that's a bad thing, because I think he's one of those kind of, he doesn't get stressed out by things. He's quite a cool guy. He's quite grounded. And I think he'll have another great year for Crystal Palace, hopefully.
Do you think with Eze being at 27 years of age, do you think in his mind he's looking at this is the big move? This is the one where...
Well, he's won the FA Cup. He's got Europe next year. So I think, okay, would he like to play for Spurs? Would he like to play for Liverpool? I'm pretty sure he'd probably say yes. But he knows as well as his agent knows that there's going to be a price for that. And that price I don't think will be met by a team and accepted by Crystal Palace.
So, because you've, apart from the fact that, of your ties with Crystal Palace, you've got no real dog in the fight between Arsenal and Tottenham, right? Even though you played for Spurs. Right?
Yeah, no legacy number.
No legacy number. But I'm going to ask you this, yeah? If you're advising Eze of which club to go to right now, where you've got Arsenal in a position where they're so close to winning the league.
You just want to alienate all of one section of the fans against me. Is that what you want me to do?
I just want your professional opinion, because I'm going to serve you two scenarios.
Go on then, serve them up.
Because you've got Arsenal, who of course are
even though you're a Spurs fan, you're going to serve these up, are you? Equally.
I'm going to serve them up equally, right?
Okay,
you've got Arsenal, who's so close to
winning
the league.
Yeah,
right?
Here we go. Yeah.
But getting the likes of Eze in and maybe a Gyökeres or a Sesko, whoever. They could be the missing parts of that puzzle to get them over the line. But there's a lot of pressure there at Arsenal, especially next season. Or the new look Spurs with Thomas Frank, who seems to be proven of improving players.
Yes.
With Champions League football as well.
Yes.
And probably the likelihood of going into there probably being a bigger star at Spurs than he would at Arsenal.
This doesn't sound like an equal of weighing up, if I'm honest.
I'm saying Arsenal, of course, on paper.
What you're basically saying is you should go to Spurs.
No,
that's what you're saying.
I'm asking what
you want me to agree with you.
No, I'm not going to agree with you. Because Arsenal was the bigger club to go to at the two, for sure.
I think everybody, and I'll talk for my Arsenal friends, not for my own thinking. My Arsenal friends all assume that if they get the right number 9, they got a great chance of winning the league, and I do agree with that. Would Eze take them nearer to that title? Possibly, but I think they got enough quality on Royd and everybody else are there.
That's what I think. I don't think Arsenal need them.
No, I would agree with that to an extent. So therefore, I have answered your question, although you didn't serve it up to me equally.
I thought it was equal.
You thought you did, but because you're Spurs, you're underlying it all.
I'm not having
it. Okay, I think he should go to Spurs if he leaves the great Crystal Palace.
If he leaves the great Crystal Palace, I think He feels.
Does that make you feel better?
You know what? Back to people being coached out of their tenacity.
Yeah,
right.
Certainly not him.
Not him for sure. So that for me makes Glasner a great coach because he allows people.
Hold on a minute. He was very much like that at QPR.
Yeah, but the thing is, that coach has allowed him to still be himself.
Yeah.
So does that? For example, has there been any players in your tenure that you've come into a club and gone, "Boy, he's brilliant. You know, he doesn't necessarily trap back whatever, but I'm going to work around his brilliance." Who can you think of?
Well, I can definitely think of one, and that was when I was at Southampton. Lallana.
Really?
Yeah. So I come in, and
he's just retired, isn't he?
Yeah, just retired.
Congratulations on a great career.
What a career, and what a fellow as well. Yeah, and hopefully he'll stay in the game because he'll be a great coach, or mentor, or manager, whatever he wants to be. But he, when I got there, he was one of the few players that we still had under contract, and the academy was all telling me he's a great kid. And when I see him play, it was just like, wow, what a talent!
Yeah,
what a talent! And he, and in some ways, in his career, you know, there were times where, particularly for England, I thought he deserved a little bit more luck.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean, a bit of a push here and there, but. Yeah. So and you just got to leave him alone. And certainly, I've had players that have completely got no defensive qualities whatsoever, but have such fantastic offensive ability that you find a place for him in the team. Now, obviously, I managed Ben Arthur at Newcastle, who had literally zero defensive qualities, but he was such a talent.
He's known as one of those players that the streets will never forget. You know that term?
That's right,
he's one of those.
Yeah, he was one of those. And Newcastle fans never forget. You know, if you go back to my time at Newcastle, they're very rare that I'll meet a Newcastle fan and they'll go, I'm raving about Kabay or Demba Ba or Papa Cisse, who were probably more important for me for the success that we had there. It would be Ben Arthur. It would always be the question I get. But the problem I had with Ben Arthur was that no, it wasn't so much that. It was the fact that the other players resented his non-defensive work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They almost was like, some of the players really protesting him being in the team.
I can feel that.
You know, and he's training.
They have to do more work.
No, also in training, you know, sometimes he wasn't focused and he was, you know, flitting about with it. You know, and this is the pressures you're under as a manager, and sometimes you put it to one side, and sometimes, you know, if results are not going well,
you got to sort it.
You got to kind of leave them out.
Right, Arsenal, Spurs, and Liverpool fans, get your calls in. Would you take these players, these Palace players? And next up, we are talking about some huge boxing news. We love boxing on this show, don't we? So the legend that Gareth A. Davies will be joining us on The Final Word on talkSPORT next.
something waiting, watching, ready to pounce. The Lions are here. Get set for live and exclusive coverage of the entire British British and Irish Lions tour of Australia.
Onward to victory and exclusive live commentary.
Continues this Wednesday morning from 10 with Queensland Reds versus the Lions. Live from Brisbane.
Go to the line and we'll score!
Exclusively on talkSPORT 2.
Sizzling summer of sport is on the horizon, and talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2 have got you covered.
When I met you in the summer.
Live and exclusive commentary of the British and Irish Lions tour to Australia, and full coverage of the Open Championship. talkSPORT Summer of Sport 2025. Get ready to feel the heat.
Good evening, it is the Final Word phone in here on talkSPORT with me, Majestic, and experienced Premier League manager and just all-round legend, Alan Pardew, aka Imagine Pards, on a Sunday evening. Pards, if you thought my my sort of delivery of that last thing about Eze was Spurs sort of orientated, you'll like this one. Afternoon, gents. Eze has a £60 million release clause, and other multiple media outlets are reporting he's keen to play Champions League. Also, let's not forget Spurs have finished above Arsenal in 6 of the last 9 seasons. And we won a major trophy a few weeks ago. They haven't won a trophy for 5+ years. That's from PD and Devon.
Is that your dad? That's nice when your dad mentions you. I like that.
That is PD and Devon.
Let me just say to you about these clauses, right? These get-out clauses and these figures that are bandied around are not always true. And they're much more complicated than that. So when you see national presses that put these figures in, 60 million get-out clause, etc., it's not quite as simple as that. There'll be other criteria involved. So I'm just going to put that out there.
Okay. We love a bit of boxing on this show, don't we?
We do love a bit of boxing.
You watched The Problem Child last night?
Problem Child? Oh, was that Jake Paul fella? He's a strange bloke, isn't he? I like it when he puts that Gaza tummy on, pretends he's training. Have you seen that clips of him? It's quite funny, actually. But he pretend he's unfit, obviously. But he won, didn't he?
He won again last night against Julio Cesar. Should we go speak to the expert on this stuff?
Oh, okay.
We've got Gareth A. Davies joining us on the show. How are we, Gareth?
Oh. I'm very well. You've caught me on the hop. I'm cycling and paddleboarding in Cambridge tonight after being up all night watching the UFC and the boxing, but I'm very well, Pards, very well, Majestic.
Tell us about The Problem Child last night. Another victory for him. His confidence grows and grows, doesn't it?
Well, weirdly, Julio Cesar Chavez, who's had over 60 fights, and he's the son of... I mean, he's not just the son of a great boxer, he's the son of an absolute Mexican legend. Yeah. I mean, in football terms, his father is David Beckham rolled into Bobby Moore, into Pele, into Maradona in boxing terms in comparison to football. For the Mexican audience, of course, who love boxing as much as they do football. It's the number one sport in Mexico. And I'll be honest with you, I was about 10 to 5 when I was watching the build-up. I stayed up all night, did fight night last night on talkSPORT with Duke McKenzie, had a great time with him till 1 a.m, got home, had a couple of Red Bulls, stayed up all night, watched the UFC and the boxing. And it was such a turgid affair for the first 8 rounds, where Chavez Jr. literally didn't throw a punch for 8 rounds. And he made Jake Paul have to chase him around the ring, and yet came on strong in the last 2 rounds and won the last 2 rounds, Chavez, which he should have been doing from the start, and actually tested Jake Paul, who's only lost so far to Tommy Fury. And he said afterwards he wants the rematch with Tommy Fury, wants to avenge defeat. But it was a weird thing. I mean, you've got to admire what Jake Paul wants to do, and he wants to become a world champion at cruiserweight. But I don't know. I just wasn't convinced by Chavez last night, who earned $750,000 for what was not an effort for 8 rounds, but an effort for the 2 rounds, the last 6 minutes of the fight.
Let's turn our attention to some big boxing news. Eubank Jr. defeated Ben via a unanimous decision in the blood-burning 12-round war at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium back in April. We were there, Gareth. Despite no title being on the line, the fight, which took place 35 years after the legendary father's first fought, got huge attention and delivered on the hype. Ultimately, all 3 judges scored it 116-112 in favour of Eubank, who has spent most of his career in the weight class, while Ben was stepping up 2 divisions. Matchroom's Eddie Hearn, who promotes 28-year-old Ben, said he did not see Eubank win in the first 4 rounds, although he did say he had unbelievable respect for both fighters. Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Ben 2, will take place On September the 20th in London, the Riyadh season card will be promoted by Seller, Matchroom and Boxer. Gareth, this rematch has been expected. It's been on the cards, isn't it?
Yeah, we thought it was going to be the week after the 27th, and there was a debate about when it was. 20th is a good date for it, in my view, at the end of the balmy summer that we're having right now. It was a brilliant fight. It's the fight of the year so far. Both men produced on the night. I mean, I had Eubank a clear winner, 7-5 or 8-4 in rounds. As I say, it was a brilliant fight. Ben stepped up and made the fight, even though he's the much smaller man. It's great to see that Ring Magazine and Sheikh Turkey, as he's now known, with Dana White now being his principal promoter, involved. It's a big fight. I'm glad they're doing it again. I think I hope it's at your ground, Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, I was going to say that because it just says London here. Perhaps, do you think they might be thinking in their minds it could be a Wembley affair? Because at the end of the day, it's another 30,000 bums on seats, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they could go to another football ground. I mean, I think, I hate to say the word Arsenal, I'm an Arsenal fan, but that's a possible venue as well. But for me, the fact we've had 2 or 3 events at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the great Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I'm telling you, sitting 3 rows from the ring, doing commentary and broadcasting from there, what it must be like to run around on that pitch and play with those banked, tiered stands. It must be incredible and so stimulating. It's an incredible stadium. I do hope it's back at Spurs. You'll tell me whether the schedule allows it or not. I suppose they're making a decision on that at the moment. If not, they may go to Wembley, of course, which would be even bigger. It wouldn't surprise me for them to get 90,000. I said after the first fight, I felt that it should be one and done because the finessing of this fight, the important thing is the weight cut for Chris Eubank Jr. Obviously, he's up in front of the board.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yeah, he's up in front of the board this month or in July for the fact that he was in a sauna suit. And he put a video out about it. Sauna suits and saunas are banned by the Boxing Board of Control for cutting weights, and he put that kind of flagrant video out. They're looking at it, and something needs to be seen to be done about it. I hope he doesn't get a big fine, and also I hope that the rehydration clause on him for this isn't too stringent, even though that's almost what made the first fight, that they made Eubank cut to middleweight, and he's in his mid-30s, and they're not going to let him fight Conor Benn at super middleweight. Eddie Hearn wouldn't allow that because he'll be too big on the night. And if he beats Ben, there's the prospect of Saul Canelo Alvarez at some point next year if Hamza Shiraz doesn't fight Canelo.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, in terms of the fight living up to the hype again, of course, we had the theatre of Eubank Sr., who none of us knew was coming. I honestly say that. I had comms in my ears from the World Feed director, and 3 minutes before he turns up was, "He's coming," was the words. So we didn't know, you didn't know, Gareth. People think it's all set up. It was genuine theatre. It made the ring walk look even, Chris Eubank's changing the ring walk with me last minute. So it had all of those elements as well. Do you think it will re-hype again? Will it live up to that again? Because there was so many factors that made that fight such a great moment.
Well, it was an incredible moment because Eubank Sr., I mean, a week before he'd been prodding me like this on a walk with Michael Watson.
Yeah, I remember seeing it.
Down the mall, obviously, the great Michael Watson saying, "Do your job. This fight shouldn't be happening." Then, of course, he creates that theatre, like you say, in the 11th hour, and turns up and the door of the limo opens and out steps Eubank and he takes centre stage just behind his son.
It was very WWE-like. It was very WWE-like.
WWE-like. It was a very moving moment. It was a moment in time. It made the event in lots of ways,
agreed.
Apart from the fight itself. But like I said, we can't replicate that again. I'm not sure that that we'll be able to create that theatre again. The egg slap, for example, Egggate in the build-up. Look, people will watch it. It's Eubank Ben 4. if you like, because the fathers had the 2 fights. I mean, I don't know if Alan went to either of those fights, but it's historicity in the making. It's nostalgia. It's 4 generations, or at least 3 generations of people enjoying an event in what was the biggest grudge. One of the biggest grudge matches in British boxing history between the fathers, of course.
Yeah, I think a couple of things, just listening to you guys there. One is, you didn't expect theatre from Chris Eubanks. My God, he's that he is Mr. Theatre. He'll probably turn up with 2 tigers or something this time. But also, going back to the end of that fight, I have to say, I was very, very impressed with both Nigel, the father, Ben, and the son in the way they took defeat, and I think they would have gained a lot of fans through that.
I agree. And they also, Alan, they gave love to the other's son.
Exactly.
And I think that's why it felt like one and done. And can they reignite that animosity again? Because the respect for each other from both families, it felt like the beef was put to bed.
I felt that as well.
But boxing's a business. It makes money. They know it'll sell the second time. They'll build it up in some way. But it's a very good point you make about how the regeneration of the animosity between the fathers, it's almost like the grudge dissolved after the fight, because the fathers have been on tour together. They've settled their differences. As you know, as you get older, the people you have the biggest rivalries with, the people that caned you when you were playing against them, the guys that chopped you down, become your friends afterwards, don't they?
They do indeed.
Brilliant stuff. Indeed. Thank you very much, Gareth, the oracle of boxing there, one of the greatest in the industry, Gareth A. Davies. Don't forget you can listen to him on Fight Night here on talkSPORT.
What's that? Hold on a minute. What's that? What's that mean?
That's Gareth's signal.
What is it? What is it referred to?
Everything
like?
good.
Everything good.
Like Cowabunga, dude.
Oh, okay.
Let's head over now to Leicester for a half-time report of the England Women's Euro 2025 warm-up against Jamaica. All the latest is talkSPORT's Natalie Pike.
At half-time, it's England 3, Jamaica 0, and England started really brightly. They dominated the first 15 minutes, really deservedly got the opening goal, which was another beautiful one from Ella Toone. She's on the edge of the D and she curls the ball into the top right of the Jamaica net. Then with Jamaica's first attack of the game, they scored. An almost static defence did nothing to help Hampton, who almost looked flat-footed. However, it was ruled offside by VAR. VAR, of course, not in use in the WSL, but is being used here today. England then settled well back into the game after that scare. They doubled their lead on the 32nd minute with a strong head from Lucy Bronze into the top left. It came from a cross from Carter as well, so it was full-back to full-back, which just shows you the attacking depth that England really do have. Then just before the end of the half, Ella Toone got her second, and you guessed it, it was another long-range curling shot. She just really only seems to score screamers. This time she's near the 18-yard line, and again she curls the ball into the top right. With the exception of the disallowed goal, England really have dominated the game and they look really threatening in attack. Another big talking point though, the state of this Leicester pitch today. Big bold patches all over the pitch. Any Leicester fans that see pictures of it have got to be worried. They need some serious work doing on this pitch, and I've just counted, there is 15 ground staff currently out. I don't know what they're trying to do to cover these bold patches, but it looks horrendous. It's England 3, Jamaica 0.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Natalie. More updates during that. Ella Toone just absolutely killing it. Like she said, she loves to score a screamer, that one. Coming up next, we want your calls. Where should Eze go? Spurs Revolution or the Arsenal's next title chance?
Spurs Revolution.
I don't write the scripts. I told you, I'm Ron Burgundy.
Christ. Who writes these scripts?
The Everton fan.
Okay.
And Palace fans, should your star player play with you and stay for a potential European tour? Call us right now, 037172233 before we hear from you next on The Final Word on talkSPORT.
drought here on
All green
DAB,
jackets have
online,
been lost
on your
at
mobile,
12
on the app,
the Augusta
and on your smart
City
TV.
dry cleaners.
Sizzle with
Rory
sport.
McIlroy knows this better than most.
Is talkSPORT.
What is Amen Corner?
Sport.
And why is it so iconic?
With
The
your
famous
sports
sequence has always
headlines,
been there
I'm Matt
since the Masters
Hutchinson. Well,
began
it's the
in
news that will divide
1934.
boxing
It
fans
didn't get its
across the
name until
country. A
58,
rematch
though,
between
when
Chris
American
Eubank
sports
Jr.
writer
and Conor
Herbert
Benn
Warren
is
on the
on.
left wrote, "At the farthest reach of the Augusta National Course, down in the Amen Corner." He drew inspiration from the 1933 jazz song Shouting in That Amen Corner by the Dorsey Brothers. The reason behind its difficulty is all in the sand and the water. Tournament officials don't even bother to count the balls lost in there each year, such is the sheer number. The 11th, named White Dogwood, is a downhill 520-yard par 4 with a pond to the left of the green and a bunker to the right. Both cause a lot of trouble each year. The 12th, Golden Bell, is perhaps the most famous hole in the world, with danger everywhere. Many aim for the flag, but look, get it even slightly wrong, and you're in the azaleas at the back, or the bunkers at the front, or even worse, Rays Creek. Or you can play it safe and aim for the open green on the left. You chicken. Tiger Woods once said, if you make 4 bogeys from Thursday to Sunday, you're doing well. And the highest ever score on that hole? 13. It's a par 3. Tom Weiskopf in 1980 was the sorry soul. Often the iconic Ben Hogan Bridge is the only thing players enjoy about Golden Bell. Even if you escape there unscathed, though, you're met with Azalea, the dogleg par 5 13th. It tempts players to go for the green in 2, but cut over those trees on the left at your peril. Every year, it seems, Amen Corner destroys someone's dreams. Rory McIlroy dropped 3 shots through here as his round unravelled in 2011. In 2016, a year after navigating Amen Corner expertly, Jordan Spieth shot a quadruple bogey on the 12th to throw away his green jacket. I mean, it sounds like my game, to be honest. So who'll be the next to be brought to their knees, praying for mercy after Amen Corner?
Welcome to the Final Word Final with me, Majestic, alongside the former West Ham Crystal Palace boss, Alan Pardew. Still to come on today's show, we'll be getting stuck into the Club World Cup after the farcical scenes during Chelsea's game against Benfica. Poor Scott Minter had to stay up all night for that. And also we'll be heading up to Leicester for updates of England's women's 2025 warm-up game against Jamaica, and it sounds like the Leicester pitch is in awful condition, Pards.
Well, it just. I mean, I can see the view on this TV screen. It looks terrible.
Terrible.
I mean, what is going on at Leicester?
But next up, we'll be delving into the transfer chat as the Vultures circle Crystal Palace. The Vultures circle the Eagles, with Mark Gahey and Eberici Eze being reportedly linked with moves away from Selhurst Park. And remember, we are live on YouTube and various smart TVs, so you can watch as well as listen to us on The Final Word on talkSPORT. But for now, the phone lines are open for you. 03 717 22 3344. Call us right now to air your views on The Final Word. Right, so
how comes we're only talking about Crystal Palace players moving tonight? What?
Because you're on.
Well, okay.
Right, so apparently Crystal Palace's European fate could be decided today after, this is a couple of days ago, after owner John Textor rushed to sell his shares due to UEFA's multi-club ownership rules.
They're trying to rush it through, but I don't know if they're going to meet deadlines, etc., but they're not going to get thrown out.
No?
No, I don't think so. I think UEFA will look at it realistically. They're obviously trying to exit him because he owns Lyon as well, and they have their own problems, by the way. That's a real mess.
And they've been relegated.
Yeah, and also no, there was something about some financial problems at that football club. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I haven't really studied it, but I do know what's going on at Crystal Palace, and I think that knowing Steve Parish, the chance of them not playing in Europe is very slim. He'll make sure that happens.
Yeah, apparently Lyon have been demoted to League 2.
Yeah, there was. I read somewhere about financial stipulations hadn't been met somewhere along the line there.
Now, as you mentioned, I don't know why we're just talking about your Selhurst Park players going. Liverpool will only advance their interest
They're not my players. I'm nothing to do with Crystal Palace.
I know, but
I'm
you're
a Fulham fan. Although I have starred and managed the great Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And I've had a great summer.
And
every Crystal Palace fan I meet, can you imagine what they're like? They're still in heaven.
And
they can't believe it.
And you know as well, like you sung on Glad All Over.
Correct.
So you forever
and I remind exactly when I go there. I say to my daughter sitting next to me. I say to this me singing that you can hear it, you know, on the tannoy. Yeah.
Did you give us a rendition?
Oh, right down the front. Me and John Solari had the best voices. Check all the dodgy ones at the back. Jeff Thomas and people like that.
And the best faces as well. Cause,
we had to look good, obviously. Yeah.
But you didn't get the gig for the old Prem thing when they did like one player, like did the face.
No, I wasn't in that. No, I wasn't in that. I think John got that.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Good looking lad.
That was a few moons ago. That was. I'm surprised you remember that.
Oh yeah.
That was the start, right at the start of Sky, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I remember the tune as well. Oh, can we get the tune up? That was a great tune. Speaking of that, I'm not seeing you since the wedding. You missed the show because of the wedding, didn't you? Mark's wedding?
Mark Bright got married, yes, to Ian Wright's sister. How bizarre is that?
Wow, good turnout.
It was a lovely day in Notting Hill. Very posh. Canopies, cocktails, and a huge bill, which I'll be very surprised if Mark picked the bill up for, knowing Mark. He would have made sure it got moved around.
Yeah, because that's when I had Jared Bowen and Danny Dyer's wedding.
That's right. Yeah. So we had different kind of DJ set. Yeah, I think yours was probably a bit livelier than ours. That was a bit more like Frank Sinatra and things like that.
Yeah, we had a bit more beef going on.
Yeah.
Right, Liverpool will only advance their interest in Crystal Palace captain Mark Gahey if the price drops significantly south of £45 million. Now, I think that's a bit out of order considering how much they spent for Virgil van Dijk.
By the way, going back to our conversation we had a minute ago with Gareth from the boxing, right?
Yeah.
When he said about, your old enemies become your new friends.
Yeah.
Well, that's bizarre. He said that, and now when you just talked about the wedding, because I was sitting next to Gary McAllister, right? Now, me and Gary had a few battles on the pitch.
Really?
So I used to have to mark him. He was good in the air, and I was a good athlete. I could get round him. And he was telling the story about I was actually sub after about 4 of these encounters, and Andy Gray was marking him, and he gone, "Where's your?" He was telling me that he was saying to Andy Gray, "Where's your mate then? Where's your mate? Didn't he fancy it today? Talking about me." It got me back up. That did. Good luck. Love to Gary, good top man,
good player.
Good man, good manager, good coach. Obviously had a good little stint here and there, Liverpool, wherever he's been. I don't know, Villa, Leeds, wherever.
100%.
But a great player.
Liverpool have no plans to pay anywhere close to 45-50 million, and there's no guarantee.
For who's this? Who are we talking about now? Crystal Palace player.
Yeah, for Gay. Considering what they paid for Virgil from Southampton at the time, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago now.
If I rang up the general manager of Liverpool and said you can have Gahey for 50 million, it'd snap my hands off for it. So that's, forget all that paper talk. Everybody would want Gahey in their team if you've got the financial room.
One of the best centre halves in the Premier League right now.
The best left-sided centre half in the league, I would say, because that's a difficult role to play. The left side. He's not particularly. His dominant foot is right foot, but his left foot is excellent, and a 2-footed centre back who can cope with pace, cope in the air, and have good footballing skills are very, very rare. And he's a real top player. And I think he'll be England's left-sided centre back in the World Cup. I
think getting Gay in now for Liverpool would be great business for them, and I think it's
the next to Van Dijk couldn't be better.
Future-proofing while they're strong. As you mentioned,
I like that future-proofing.
Well, we are talking about Crystal Palace players.
No.
Yeah, we're talking about Eze, because joining us on the show now, they've called us on 037172233 is Nathan, who's not only an Arsenal fan, but a proper Arsenal fan, because he's from Dulwich. How are we, Nathan?
Good man, south of the river.
Exactly. Proper Arsenal fans.
Oh, dear.
How are you, Nath?
Sorry.
I'm sorry for that, Nath, that insult. You didn't deserve that.
I'm Mr. Pardew, I'm more concerned about the fact you said best left-sided centre-back in the league is Katie, but I'll leave that there because Gabriel might have missed.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he meant English.
I did. I actually meant English, to be honest. Yeah.
Maybe he meant in Crystal Palace, but anyway, that's fine. No. But I've got a bit of a weird take on the situation. Go for it. So bear with me. It won't be long, but it's a bit.
It's obviously long-winded. I can say it's going to take a while. Go on.
It's not long-winded, I promise.
Nathan, it's Sunday. England are playing Jamaica. We've got all the time in the world.
Okay, right. So just bear with me. All pre-season, post-season, whatever you want to say, it's been Arsenal being linked to one of two strikers, and we know who they are. Yeah. I watch a lot of European football, and if you watch all of the people on social media, online, even people from talkSPORT who come on and they co-host shows, but they're actually known for deep diving into these player like analytics. Everyone agrees, apart from those who do the prime time shows during the week, apparently on talkSPORT, that the best forward for Arsenal, which is an out-and-out number 9, is Benjamin Sesko.
Yes.
He's going to be in that middle channel between both sides of the box. He might drop back a little bit like Havertz, but he's not going to drift out wide, etc. That's kind of in agreement from those who know, yeah?
Correct.
The minute, it's been taking a while to this to kind of get over the line, and then you kind of go, oh, suddenly Eze is an option, and then you hear, people on talkSPORT during this week say, oh, will it be him or Odegaard? I think they've missed the point. Eze is better than Martinelli out wide. That's not his main position. It's not his main position for the whole season. But him being in the left area would be better than Martinelli.
He has played a lot of times for Crystal Palace on that left side as he did in the final.
Exactly that. But he likes to drift inward and then kind of arrive late in the penalty box.
Correct.
The thing about Gyökeres is, yes, his goal scoring record is absolutely phenomenal. No one can debate that. You can talk about the leagues and blah. I'm a bit like you, Mr. Pardew. I'm not like, we should discount it because it's not a top 3 league or whatever in Europe. Yeah. He can score goals. He's done it in the Champions League. You can't debate the Champions League goals because it's against top teams as well as...
Like when he destroyed Man City.
Yeah, exactly that, right? So, but the thing about him is he likes to drift to the left. And you look at it and suddenly go, okay, is this Sesko thing going to happen or not? If it's not going to happen, the solution for me is someone who looks at it from the outside. You go, then we just buy the player, the striker, that keeps telling the world's media he's going to Arsenal, which is Gyökeres, who likes to drift to the left, and then you buy the left-sided forward
who drifts to the right.
Inwards. No, exactly that. They swap. So what I said to your producer was, the idea of Eze being in my team as Arsenal, as his creativity and his ability, excites me massively. Then I think about what that means in terms of who we buy as a number 9, and it's not the one I would actually want as a number 9 out and out, and then I get less excited. So I go, oh yeah, Eze, and I go, oh, but it's not Sesko. So it's really complicated. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, I completely understand. Because, like you said,
I've got to be honest. I think you're overthinking it. That would be my view.
That's how badly Nathan wants a striker.
I know. You're overthinking that, Nathan.
I'm an Arsenal fan who needs a striker for about 3 years.
Yeah, that's true.
For 3 years.
You've been dreaming of strikers for 3 years, Nathan.
You've been putting it all together. Drift in left, drift out right. What you need, and this is it. Forget about names for a minute. You need that goal scorer that just gets a goal out of nothing. When it's bobbling in that 6-yard box and he turns it into the goal back of the net where no one else would, because you haven't got that natural goal scorer in your group. And that's what you need, a natural goal scorer. No one drifting out left, not worried about drifting out right, not bothered about actually linking it up. You've got plenty of players to link it up.
Loads.
Just score a goal and get us a 1-0 when we're not playing very well. That's what you need. You get that, you've got a chance.
Brilliant.
That's why I was a bit, not to detract. That's why I was shocked about any Chelsea fans who were turning their nose up at Liam Delap. If you saw his goal 3 days ago, it literally was, I'm going to take a hit from the defender, I'm going to firm it, the defender ends up on his back, and I'm going to put it in the bottom corner. That's all we need. And for £30 million, they've got a bargain. Would I have taken it right now? Absolutely, I've taken it.
Yeah, I agree. Brilliant call. Thank you very much, Nathan. Great call there. Talking about how signing Eze would impact what kind of striker they might go for, which is a great point. Score update in the Club World Cup. PSG 4, Inter 0.
Really?
Yeah. Live coverage now on talkSPORT 2. That scares me for the old Super Cup. Eze and Gay, would you like to see those players at your club, or should they stay at Palace? And who is Eze a better suit for, Spurs or Arsenal? 03717 22 3344. Sounds of Pulp and Common People, and of course, if you like the sound of Pulp and crazy great music from the 90s, then you'll love our sister station Virgin Radio, and of course they have their own 90s station with all the best music like this. This was selected by producer Ross, who is a big Pulp fan. Of course, the infamous Jarvis Cocker, who in the Brit Awards 1995 jumped on stage and mooned Michael Jackson. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, and I watched him yesterday at Glastonbury. Do a pretty good set, I thought.
Who, Pulp?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Jarvis Cocker can have the crowd in the palm of his hands. I watched him at the Isle of Wight a couple of years ago. Brilliant.
Yeah, and for an old rocker, he just about looked okay. No, you know, like that. Them clips of Take That now. I mean, they just look like fat middle-aged men jumping about.
Oh,
I'm
that's
sorry,
harsh.
but they do.
That's harsh.
And I went to see them, and they do look a little bit like that.
I'm not having that said about my
Anyway,
Gary.
forget about them. What about Neil Young yesterday?
Well, I had a few people message me about Neil Young.
Oh. Literally, they must have. Did they go? No, I can't say that. I'm not going to say what I'm going to say.
Don't say it.
No,
but you know what?
They must have been. The barrel was.
He was
empty.
He was on. Charlie XCX was on. The Scissor Sisters were on at the same time.
I didn't really get that.
You know what? Charlie XCX has worked very, very hard. She's worked really hard, and she's been around for a minute.
What's her age? Roughly,
sort of early 30s, I think.
Oh, so she's had a good old career already.
She's been working hard. You know the song "I Love It, I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's her song.
Okay.
I think that was her breakthrough song.
Yeah.
I think it was with Martin Solveig.
She's like the it girl, isn't she, for all the young
she's
ladies.
The marketing around her Brat Summer thing was tremendous. And she's done really well. And
Death of Brat, I heard last night on the commentary.
Yeah, she deserves her plaudits, and she's worked really hard. But I do feel personally, like, it just felt that stage was a bit big with just her.
Yeah.
I think it would have been better with maybe a live band, even if they were just pretending.
Yeah, just to have a few people around there. I know what you mean.
It just felt like a bit. But I tell you what, I turned it over onto the Scissor Sisters, who were absolutely tremendous.
I mean, that Glastonbury, obviously I've watched it over the years. I've watched it when it was all mud, and there was like, I can't even remember who the bands were. There was no one there, really, of any significance. It suddenly sort of mushroomed into this massive event. And every time I look at it, there's a stage somewhere else. There's like a new stage here, a new stage here, the pyramid stage.
It's incredible how big it is.
And there's so many acts going in, and some acts just turn up, don't they?
Yeah.
Which is great. Just want to get a bit of the vibe or whatever.
Not me. I've never been. Never played.
Not invited?
No invite for me. Not the call up.
Well, anyway, if they would like to contact Madge.
Call Alan Pardew.
Yes.
Call Pards.
Yeah,
before we get back to your calls, let's head over to Leicester, where the pitch is looking a bit like the floor at Glastonbury for an update for the England women taking on Jamaica in the Euro 2025 warm-up game, and all the latest. It's talkSPORT's Natalie Pike.
Perfect timing. England have just scored. It is England 4, Jamaica 0, and it has come from Georgia Stanway, her 22nd goal for England, the Bayern Munich player, with another lovely finish for England. They are not doing tap-ins today. They are doing curling long-range shots. I was going to tell you that it had been a slow, quiet start to the second half. We are coming up to about 60 minutes here, and England have made it England 4, Jamaica 0.
Natalie, obviously the pitch looks terrible on the screen that I've got here, and you mentioned it. What's the rest of the stadium looks pretty full though. Is it like a good atmosphere there?
Yeah, it's lovely. By the start of the day, there was 28,000 tickets sold, but they were also selling tickets on the day. As I look around me, the stadium is pretty packed. There's also a good contingency of Jamaica fans in the corner as well that have been making some noise. But, Pards, the pitch is horrendous.
It looks like the field of Glastonbury, Natalie, after the weekend.
I can't believe what you just said about Take That, by the way. That's sacrilege.
It's out of order, isn't it? I'm not having that said about my Gary.
It's true, Natalie, you know it's true.
Won't be having any fat shaming on this show, Pards. No way.
We can agree on the pitch and disagree on Take That.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you, Natalie. We're going to have updates during the show from Natalie. I performed on stage.
Obviously a Take That fan, isn't she?
I performed on stage with Take That. There's my little thing. Yeah.
Nice. What, in the heyday, though?
No.
Recently?
Yeah.
Are they good to the boys?
Good lads. Good lads.
But, obviously, I watched them, right, at the O2 12 months ago.
I want a retraction of the fat one.
No.
That's not fair.
Larger one. Is that, can you say a big bone?
As a larger person myself, I wouldn't like to be called fat on air.
All right, the big fella.
Okay.
The big fella. So, some of their structured dance routines looked really manufactured and awkward.
Rigid.
Awkward. They're better off not doing it. Just go out and sing, boys. Sing the old hits and, have a bit of fun with it.
They are still great songs. They last forever,
Great songs.
Let's go to Darren, who's an Arsenal fan. Evening, Darren.
He's Take That, I bet.
No, he's not Take That. Don't even joke about it.
How are you, mate? You all right?
Everything's great, thank you. Great show as always.
Thank you. The only thing that's not great, you still ain't got a striker.
Yeah, well, we're never going to get a striker. The trouble is, everybody goes on about it's 3 years we need a striker. It's not been 3 years, it's been about 10 years we need a proper out-and-out goal-getter.
Who for you was your last striker, Van Persie?
I would say Van Persie.
Yeah.
And then they let him go to Man United anyway because they didn't want to pay him the money.
What about Aubameyang? Did you feel he did a job for you as a striker?
He was brought as a striker, but he didn't do the job. It's like we've had a thing at our club where we get great players and we ruin them. We overplay them, we ruin them. Look at Arshavin. He come, for example, scored them 4 goals against Liverpool, and no one see him next. I see him at the last game he was ever at Arsenal, a cup game. He was wrapped up on the subs bench with more blankets than you get in Dunhill. He was never going back on the game. And then he went, it was terrible. We'll never buy a first-rate striker because they won't pay the money like the other clubs will.
It's a good point. I'm just trying to think about, like, you know, going out and buying marquee players and marquee strikers.
I always thought Lacazette could have done a lot better for Arsenal.
He could. The last player we went out and got, which was loads of money, right, which is another mistake, was that geezer, I can't remember his name. They called him the Beast, right? You know, he was supposed to come over and he was going to be brilliant. £72 million, our first big player. I can't remember his name. He didn't hardly play.
Well, I can think of I can think of a World Cup winner who played number 9 for Arsenal.
Go on.
Quite recently, Oliver Giroud.
Giroud, but we should never have got rid of him. He carried on playing.
I know. He done really.
You know, you're talking about you never had strikers, but you have. You had strikers.
You've had Lucas Podolski. Lucas Podolski.
Again, ruined the player. Got rid of him because he had a falling out.
Lucas Perez.
No.
Carlos Vela.
No.
What about Ali Adier? Remember Ali Adier?
Oh, I had him. I had him at West Ham for a little while.
Sanogo?
Nice boy. Sanogo, I had him too.
No. I'd rather take Ian Wright back, I'm telling you.
What, now? Ian Wright now?
Ian Wright now, yeah.
Right now, he gives passion to the club. There's not an Arsenal player, right, that gives a passion like they do. And now they've just said they're getting rid of Partey.
Yeah, that's crazy. The Partey one's crazy.
What I mean? Give him the money he wants. You know what I mean?
The money you're spending on Nogard, you might as well just give him the signing on fee.
But I think there's more to Partey than meets the eye there, because I think if you just went on his playing ability, the contract would be there for him. There's obviously something else going on, and you never understand that.
He has been injured, hasn't he?
You are not. I'm talking. And when a player leaves of that quality, there's usually some undercurrent of that going on.
Yeah, it's called more money. It's called more money. That's all it's called.
Well,
right, if you're happy at a club, right, you don't leave the club because like someone's going to give you an extra 10 grand a week. It's because you're getting a lot more money a week.
Darren, are you trusted in the process still with Arteta or not?
To be honest with you, I haven't trusted the process since Terry Neal. It's been terrible. The problem is with it, Arteta is a great manager, and he finds players and he goes along the manual that he's going to go with. You know, play the players. Doesn't give a lot out to the press. Doesn't get angry. Doesn't see none of that. But you don't see any raw emotion unless we're playing a big club and he beats them. I want to see it all the time. And then they let Eddie go.
Well, Arteta doesn't get emotional.
No, he's saying that like the only time he does is when you're playing a big club and he wins. Like when he's playing, when they're 4-0 up against someone, he's just quite flat. No, I get that. Darren, great call. Thank you very much, Darren, who's not happy with the fact that Arsenal haven't got a striker. My English terrible. Ain't got a striker. I'm on there.
I think it's a bit harsh to say that he lacks passion.
I think it's a bit harsh calling take that fat, but you did.
I didn't say that. Okay, I did say that fat. I can't take it back now.
You can, because Laura, the Liverpool fan, says, I'm loving the show as always and looking forward to your quiz. However, Alan, what you're saying about take that sacrilege?
Well, they just looked large on the stage. Maybe it was the lighting.
It was.
Maybe they need to change the lighting.
I think before the show, he's going to retract that comment.
Yeah.
And we're going to move on. And we might even play some Take That.
It'll be nice. I love their songs. Maybe I should dance to one of them.
Thanks to producer Ross for playing Pulp. It reminds me of when Jarvis flashed his bottom during Michael Jackson's cringy appearance at the Brit Awards in 1996. I thought it was 95, but yeah, it's 96 because 95 Christmas #1 was Earth Song, so it would make sense for 96.
The 90s was a mad time for TV, you know.
Yeah.
Do you remember those comic awards and all that? There was all sorts being said on them. Brilliant. All terrible.
Brilliant.
But some of it was shocking. I mean, you'd never get away with it now.
Apparently Jarvis was going to be arrested for it, but the brilliant Bob Mortimer, who had trained to be a solicitor, helped him around the charges.
Did he?
That's
good
amazing.
Old Bob. I think I heard Bob telling that story on that the fishing show that he's got.
Brilliant.
Brilliant little show.
037722344. Don't forget the Women's Euros get underway this week, and talkSPORT's network has all the action covered, so head on to our website, talksport.com, for all the details. But because it's Sunday, we want these to keep coming in.
On your WhatsApp is a very special place you can speak to Pardew. WhatsApp, baby.
Send us your WhatsApp, baby.
WhatsApp, baby, WhatsApp.
Final word.
WhatsApp, baby, WhatsApp.
The WhatsApp number is 03717223344.
That's right, that is the WhatsApp number. Pards, who would you like to hear from this week?
Well, I'd like to hear from some Sunday morning tournament winners today.
Oh, yeah.
There's someone who's actually gone out this morning, delivered their son to the playing service, and he's produced. And they're very proud of their little one. Maybe it might be a girl, actually, at the ladies' tournament, because obviously we've got the females at Leicester playing today.
Absolutely.
So it'd be nice to get some female stars mentioned.
So, Grassroots Heroes, we want to hear from you.
Exactly.
If your loved one has played today and won, even if they took part, and you're proud that they were there on the pitch, stepped up and did their thing. 03717 223344. We're also going to hear about your favourite gigs, seeing though it is Glastonbury, and we've waxed lyrical about some and waxed not so lyrical about others tonight. Open up the WhatsApp, send me your short voice message, keep it like under a minute. 03717 223344, and we'll get them on air very soon on the Final Word here on talkSPORT. evening, it's the Final Word phone in here on talkSPORT with me, Majestic, and experienced Premier League manager Alan Pardew. Imagine Pards on a Sunday. Do you know what, like, Pards? I forgot how much I love our job on the Sunday. It's lovely coming having a chat with you. It doesn't feel like work.
No, but it's just a shame. I like to have the old Premier League results rolling in.
Yeah.
That's nice. But these summer gigs, they're interesting because we've got all the other sports.
Yeah.
And we should address a few of them, Michael.
Oh, absolutely. I've taken my cap off for this part of the show. I've doffed my cap to Sir Alan Pardew, who joins me alongside, of course, Imagine Pards, the record-breaking Final Word.
Which is...
We don't say it enough. The sports bar, it's in the read now. It's the record-breaking sports bar.
Oh, I see.
So we should be the record-breaking Final Word.
The record-breaking Final Word.
Are we like Chris Akabusi? Oh, wow, record-breaker.
So maybe we should sell ourselves a bit more.
Definitely. Right, the reunion of the century is just around the corner. We're giving you a chance to win a pair of Oasis tickets in Manchester.
Oasis now.
July 19th. Yeah, you heard right, our kid. Oasis Live 25 is sold out. But talkSPORT can get you in. And that's not all alongside the tickets. We'll put you up for a night in a hotel, Pods.
Nice.
That'd be a good one. And put $5,000.
You need to have a stay over when you go to the concert because you're going to have a few bebbers, aren't you?
That's right.
Good thing.
Not just the stay over, but $5,000.
Oh, so you can buy a bottle of champagne.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they try and put you in the travel lodge or whatever, then you can upgrade to the Edwardian with the $5,000.
Or get a balcony view.
Yeah, $5,000 in your pocket, completely tax-free. Listen up right now for everything you need to know and how to enter.
Alright, kid, you have to be over 18 to enter in the UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and $5,000 spending money, all you gotta do is text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Sorted. Right, here's all the legal stuff. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You've got to have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, P.O. Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com.
Brilliant stuff. Good luck and enter if you're entering for the Oasis competition. Before we talk about the long-running transfer saga, let's head over to Leicester for an update of England women taking on Jamaica in the Euro 2025 warm-up game. With all the latest, it's talkSPORT's Natalie Pike.
It's England 5, Jamaica 0, and it's a goal that's come for Alessia Russo, but the big news is that the assist has come from Lauren James. She's been on the pitch for less than 10 minutes and well and truly reminded us all why she is so hugely rated. It was a left-footed cross from her to the back post, Alessia Russo timing her run perfectly to head the ball into the back of the net for England's 5th. Now, James has come on for Ella Toone, who of course got 2 goals in the first half, and she's playing that more of a central role today as opposed to out left that she does more for Chelsea. So I don't know how Serena Wiegman is going to choose between Ella Toone or Lauren James, or how she's going to fit them both into a starting 11 against France next weekend. We've also had 5 other substitutions now, including Chloe Kelly, so it does look like Serena Wiegman is really trying to get as many players as she can out there to get a good look at everybody in their final game before the Euro starts. We are 15 minutes left here. England 5, Jamaica 0.
Thank you very much, Natalie. 15 minutes left there in England taking on Jamaica and Leicester, and it's 5 goals to 0. Right. We've been asking you about some of the best gigs you've been to. What stands out for you, Pods?
Well, the best gig I ever see in terms of the audience, the band, the music was Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh, where was
Wembley.
that? Wembley.
Yeah. In the indoor arena, which I think is that now gone? The indoor.
No, Wembley Arena's still there.
Still going.
10,000, about 10,000.
Yeah, about 10,000.
Yeah,
yeah. That was something else. The brass band. The selection. Yeah.
Great group.
Yeah.
Favorite Earth, Wind and Fire song?
September.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Great song. Still,
yeah.
You know what? Earth, Wind and Fire, especially because I DJ at a lot of the boxing events, their records are perfect for those kind of evenings.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They are just such crowd pleasers.
Yeah.
I've had a message here from Mick who said, "Great show, gents. Best gigs, Oasis, New Cross, 1994. That would have been epic."
New Cross.
Yeah.
New Cross where? London.
Must be.
Oh.
And then this is great as well. The Prodigy, the Forum, Kentish Town, 1995.
Oh, I'd have fancied like seeing them.
Yeah.
You talked about them earlier, weren't you?
We were talking about the Prodigy, of course, the late great Keith Flint.
Yes.
The Prodigy are playing Glastonbury this weekend. I'm not sure if they played or not already, but of course, when you think of the Prodigy now without Keith, I think a lot of people often think, oh, well, who's going to do the songs? Now, as a huge Prodigy fan that I am, right, I got into the Prodigy when I was about 5 years of age.
Firestarter.
You know, before that, I'm going back to sort of the rave. One of my first albums I ever bought was Jilted Generation by the Prodigy.
Okay.
And I just thought it was just so high energy. And as a little kid dancing around the living room, I loved it. But what you realise with the Prodigy, they started off as 4 members, which was Liam, Keith, Maxim, and Leroy. And Keith and Leroy were the dancers. Maxim was the MC, and Liam was the DJ producer.
Okay.
And then, of course, when it got to Fat of the Land...
And they were from where? What area?
Essex.
Essex,
Yeah.
okay.
And I think Fat of the Land was around 96, 97, and that's when Keith turned into the vocal power that he was with Firestarter and vocaling also on Breathe with Maxim. So Maxim's always been the MC.
Okay, so Breathe, you know that the video.
Oh, great video!
Great video, and his eye and his eyes. Is it like he's got like contact?
He's got contacts in, yeah,
but they look great, don't they?
Yeah,
terrific.
One of the most iconic looks in dance music was Keith with that hair and that whole look
and
during
the jumper and all that.
Yeah, the fact that that was in Firestarter. That jumper on the underground, brilliant, absolutely wonderful stuff. So yeah, the Forum Kentish Town Prodigy '95. That would have been epic. One of my favourite gigs probably got to be Muse, London Docklands Arena. First time I ever saw Muse.
Okay. Muse, yeah.
Oh, I love Muse. My life goal is to meet Matt Bellamy from Muse. There's a few people that I need to meet in my life.
Well, one of my other favourite gigs was Take That. No, no, I can't say that, can I? I mean, I ain't going to go back to Take That. I will say the worst concert I've ever seen
was
I went to the Albert Hall to go and see Eric Clapton, and I didn't really know. I was a bit younger then, and I didn't really know much about Eric Clapton. I knew he was like a big star on that, but it was a blues night, and he played the blues for like 3 hours.
And if you're not bluesy,
and I wasn't really bluesy, and he didn't speak to the crowd, didn't even say hello or anything, and literally like I was, what am I doing here?
I performed at Royal Albert Hall.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that's a venue, isn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable. When I came out and performed, and I looked up, and all the lights in the air, it felt like a coliseum.
Those big discs which are changing the sound of
amazing.
Bouncing around or whatever.
We want to hear from you.
What do those discs do?
Just absorb sound. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to Alexandra Palace for a show.
No.
It's quite hollow. And the sound's not necessarily great in there, so you need to have some right acoustic.
Because you've got the dome of the Albert Hall that kind of bouncing around the way it sort of reverberates.
They need to sort of put some absorption, some acoustic treatment.
Okay.
Right, so if you've your favourite gigs, we'd love to hear from you. 03717 223344. Text us at 81089. Best gig, Live Aid 85.
Yes.
Queen, Wembley 86.
Watched it on the TV.
I was taking pictures at both of them. Simon, the pro sports photographer in St Albans. That's amazing. So Simon, I take it that you was in the pit for that then. Oh wow, I am jealous. That is a piece of musical history.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I remember Live Aid very, very well, but what you can never kind of explain to people is the hype that went on before the event.
Yeah.
The actual build up to it was weeks and weeks, and everyone was looking forward to it, and it was like a whole kind of, is it ever going to live up to this build up? And of course it did, in more ways than one.
Oasis was at the venue, New Cross, 1994.
Okay, yeah.
Another one. It's funny because they mentioned Live Aid, because I do believe, if I'm correct in thinking, Status Quo opened Live Aid.
Well, I don't care who opened it. We know who finished it. I mean, the Queen were on fire.
No, but Status Quo, they're a gig I went to. I think the first time I saw them was 2003, and it's only because one of my best friends, Anthony, his dad Colin, huge Status Quo fan, big shout to Colin, and because Anthony couldn't go because he was going to see Justin Timberlake with his girlfriend at the time.
Nice.
Colin was like, Kev, do you want to come? You love guitar music. I'm like, yeah, I'll go. I started going with his dad every year to see Quo because they were that good.
Yeah. Well, I think I've met a few Quo fans, over the years, and they are real kind of
cult
solid.
Fans. Yeah,
they're big solid. You cannot talk them down to a Status Quo fan.
If I had to liken them to a football fan base, it'd be Crystal Palace.
What? Why?
The fan base of Status Quo, because the way the Palace fans love Palace.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
the love that they have. Oasis.
The adulation.
Yeah, Wembley 2009 or 2010, supported by Kasabian. And Reverend and the Makers was a great night. I'm hoping for similar on August the 3rd this summer. Don't forget, if you'd like to see Oasis, there's no way you can buy tickets. talkSPORT, we're running a competition. Please get involved in that. Check out talksport.com for more information. Right, turning our attention back to football. We're talking about it's Mbeumo. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it properly.
It's a strange name, actually.
Yeah, a lot of people say Mbeumo, Mbeumo, who plays for Bradford.
What we do know is he is an outstanding footballer. That's what we do know.
I need to ask you, because this saga's been going on for a while now. You're a manager trying to get him. What's it like as a manager during a transfer window? Like, you know you want a player. This is the player you want. What's going on with you as a manager?
Well, that's an interesting one, because particularly the summer transfers, first and foremost, you know, you're going into the window, you're sort of got your targets, and like you would say to the chairman, this is my number one target. And let's say we're talking about Brian. And your chairman will be saying, well, look, you know, we don't want to go in too early, and you've got this kind of waiting period. And then you kind of fit, you know, the owner and the board will say to you, what's your opinion of the fee? What do you think it should be? You'd give them a clue. They would probably go under that to try and, you know, see if they could get it. And then you have this process, which becomes very frustrating for a manager, because obviously you want them in the door. You want them in as early as you can. You want to do pre-season with them. The selling club, of course, are in a different trajectory. They are kind of wanting the most for their player.
Yeah.
They understand there's a strong interest from your football club because you've made a bid. They are maybe waiting for a second club to get involved. Once the second club gets involved, then you really are in trouble. And I've been involved in that. And what usually happens is you kind of call in the chief executive or the owner, and you're kind of like, where is it? Like, can we get it done? You more or less know the personal terms, but you kind of start thinking about your second choice or your third choice.
Yeah.
And I think Man United at the moment are very much going to stick on that course with Brian, try and get him over the line. But of the selling club, if I was them, I would be waiting and waiting and waiting.
Definitely.
And that fee can only go one way.
Seen quote at the Hammersmith Odeon in 1985.
Hammersmith Odeon, always a great venue, by the way. Have you played there?
No, I haven't.
It's a great venue for a concert.
That's from Phil. Thank you, Phil. And yeah, I was right. Quo opened Live Aid, and the first tune was "Rockin' All Over the World," which made sense.
Which is a good song.
Makes sense as well for what it was about as well.
Yeah.
And they played the track like Caroline as well.
Yeah. They didn't get much wrong at that event.
No.
It was all pretty spot on.
And a message from our photographer friend in St Albans said, yes, I was in the pit. Quote, also supported Queen in 86 with The Alarm and In Excess. What a lineup that is.
Wow.
Unbelievable. 037172224. Call us as well about your favourite gigs. I want to talk music with you guys as well today, seeing how it is Glastonbury. We want to hear from you about your favourite gigs. Also, Grassroots Heroes, voice notes, please do send them in to 03717222344. Imagine Pards on a Sunday night here on talkSPORT.
Wake up, Maggie, I think I got something to say to you. It's late September and I really should be back at school.
You're listening to Virgin Radio with Madge and Pardew with all the classic. No, it's not Virgin Radio. It's, of course, talkSPORT, but you can listen to Virgin Radio and The Breakfast Show with our good friend Chris Evans by downloading the talkSPORT
And
app
Ryan
today.
Paverty at 10 o'clock.
Indeed. So if you love your music, then Virgin Radio is the place to be. Definitely play a bit of Rod on there.
Do you know what? You know, listen, obviously everybody knows Rod now as this Asian rocker who's going to do the Glastonbury set. He might have done it by now, I think. But when he was younger, he was so raw that like this particular song, those early songs were brilliant, and he was like so hot, hip. You know, it's hard to sort of imagine that now, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what as well? What a nice man.
Yeah.
You've met him, haven't you?
I have met him, but he's massive into. He was always into football, isn't he? You know, obviously.
He's got full-size pictures in his houses, so
that's right. He's have games.
You know, you do like the old name drop, right?
Yeah.
My one is I've played football at Rod Stewart's LA house a few times.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's a good shout, isn't it?
You know, like you go to Power League on a Wednesday over in LA. Yeah. You go to Rod's house.
You go to Rod's house. He used to have a game in his Essex house.
Yes. Yeah.
I never actually got there, but a few of my pals played.
Yeah. So. And what a lovely man he is.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I mentioned before, you know, sometimes the bigger the person are, the more nice and humble they are.
Yeah.
And I think because they understand.
I always feel we've always been unlucky with girlfriends, Rod. You know, some of the beauties that he's had, not quite up to scratch, were they?
Well, he's with a lovely lady now.
Yeah.
And they are.
And I think he's had a couple of Miss Worlds here and there, hasn't he?
They're a lovely couple.
Yeah.
And he's just an absolute gentleman and a pleasure to speak to. And like you said, loves his football. We'll talk football all day because he loves his Celtic. And over in his LA house, he has
a bit like George Best. Where did it all go wrong? That classic line.
yeah. I know.
We won't go there.
Yeah, but Rod Stewart, of course, who's playing Glastonbury probably right now.
Yeah. Go on, Rod.
Loads of messages about concerts that we'll come back to, but before we unleash Alan's any other business, let's head over to Leicester for an update of England's Women's Euro 2025 warm-up game against Jamaica. With all the latest is talkSPORT's Natalie Pike.
It's England 6, Jamaica 0, and it was two subs that linked up for the 6th goal. Charles with the cross and the finish from Aggie Beaver-Jones, who angled the ball into the bottom left corner. We've only got a couple of minutes left here now, and there is a party atmosphere. Now, I've got a couple of things for you, gents. First of all, there's a Mexican wave that's been going round and round and round. When it gets to the press box, do you think journalists should take part in a Mexican wave or not? Because I am the only one that has been doing it. And also I'd like to offer you Aerosmith at Wembley in the late 1990s. I think I was 15 and I thought it was so cool. England 6, Jamaica 0.
Aerosmith at Wembley, that would have been a good concert.
Well, I'm going to go back to the Mexican wave because obviously as a football manager you always know that's a bit of a disaster when the Mexican wave starts. It's either the game's all over or it's, you know, it's got into a period of the game where it's like rubbish. Remember those World Cup games, 0-0, Ecuador versus somebody, and the Mexican wave starts.
Yeah.
So it's usually a bad sign, but it's a good sign today because obviously it's 6-0, and they're probably like thinking, let's have a little party. That's a different scenario.
Let's go over to James, who's a Spurs fan, but he wants to talk to us about some gigs and music. How are we, James?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well. I like the fact it's a Sunday afternoon and me and Pardew talking about United or Spurs being rubbish in the Premier League, which is what we did last season. So let's talk about something more positive. You want to talk to us about a gig on your honeymoon?
Yes. So we went on our honeymoon. We was away for about a month. And we ended in LA, Hollywood.
Nice.
And we found this band that we'd gone to go and see in this tour as well, earlier in the tour. We found that they were playing in their hometown, which is Hollywood, as their last gig. And we decided we were supposed to be flying back on the day that they were playing. So we went, come on, let's stay for one more day. Extended our stay, got a ticket, saw them. They were incredible. And it was at the El Rey Theatre over in Hollywood. And my wife, it was cringy to start off with, but I said, they said about it's after party gig, you know, everyone's going to be there, kind of thing. Let's see if we can get a ticket for it. No, but no one knew what we was talking about. The drummer comes out, we spoke to him, and managed to get the after show tickets. We were sitting there with the producers, with Marky, with everyone who was involved with the band, with the tour, and also sitting there chatting away with the band. The drummer who had given us the tickets He couldn't believe that we extended the honeymoon for one extra day so we could see him, see all of them play. And we turned up, I think, about 1:30, 2 in the morning after everything picked out in Hollywood, just on the main street, kind of going like, it's totally dead. No cabs, no nothing. And we're like, we have no idea where we are, but we couldn't care less because it was like the most incredible gig. It went from 0 to 100 real quick.
That's amazing. What band was that?
It's a group called Vintage Trouble.
Vintage Trouble?
Yeah, they're not together anymore, unfortunately. But they were a bit like a rock, soul and blues kind of band. They were a great band. He had a great showmanship. Unfortunately, I think like musical differences, they kind of went their own separate ways.
Well, it's great. That's a great feeling when you stumble on something, isn't it? You stumbled on the concert and then you've stumbled on the after party. They're great. They're great experiences. Them.
Oh, they're the best ones.
Yeah, and the fact as well is the drummer had like loads of friends and family around, and we're being from the UK and being over there. They're like, "Oh my God, you're from England! This is insane." We're like, "Yeah, no, this is more insane than us being from England, sitting here with you guys drinking and like having a good time with you lot." I don't think you remember, but he was like, "Oh yeah, next time we come to London," he said, "you're going to be my VIP guest." And I was like, "Yeah, you're not going to remember this." But
do you know what is the thing?
To remember him.
The thing is, the band and like the drummer said that they appreciate the fans. They're going to be aware that you guys are coming to see them. From someone who is a musician and toured and whatever else, and a producer. It's so nice when people are that into your music that they want to spend money to come see you. My crazy moment was in New York. I was playing a rooftop party in New York. A lovely lady called Ruko flew from Japan to come see me play in New York. She said, "I always wanted to watch you play," and I thought, why not do it in New York?
Yeah, amazing.
That's crazy. Thank you very much to James, the Spurs fan there. Keep those calls coming in, 03717 223344. We're going to be talking about the Club World Cup and a 2-hour delay in the Chelsea-Benfica game. And keep your favourite gigs coming in, 03717 223344. Welcome to the final word phone in here on talkSPORT with me, Majestic, alongside the experienced football gaffer, Alan Pardew. Still to come on the show, we'll be discussing that bizarre World Cup game, Club World Cup game between Chelsea and Benfica last night. And we want to know, what is the most incredible, all bizarre thing you've seen in a game of football right now? We're the only place on national radio taking your calls. The phone lines are open. Call us 03717 223344. We'll also be getting Emperor Pard to give us some transfer rumours, the thumbs up or the thumbs down.
Okay.
I like Gladiator.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm good at that.
But right now...
What's happened to the quiz, by the way?
Well, we're giving you the greatest quiz on radio.
Oh, I knew it was coming.
The Mystery Footballer Song Quiz. There's 3 songs in total, which will lead you to who the player is. Remember, it could be the player, the club he's played for, a number, a nickname, or even a physical feature. So, my selector, Mr. DJ Kitch, on the ones and twos. Give me song number 1.
I've been a great fan of UB40, if I'm honest.
This was like a big record for them, wasn't it, in the early 90s?
Most of the songs were covers, weren't they?
Yes. Yeah. And this, of course, was a cover.
Yeah.
Which, what's his name? Elvis recorded, what, 1961?
I have no idea. I
think it was around that time.
That was my birthday, I should remember. When I was born, I mean.
But did you know, here's a little fun fact for you, that the original composition is from like the 1700s and was like a French love song.
Nice.
Yeah, the melody in it.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go. Learn something new every day. But that is UB40, Falling in Love with You. UB40, of course. There's 2 songs still to go, but if you think you know who it could be from our first song, the texts are open for you now. Tell us.
Birmingham based UB40.
Exactly. 81089. I'll send us a WhatsApp message on 03717 223344. But before we talk about some really strange goings on in the Club World Cup last night, let's head back to Leicester for the full time of England taking on Jamaica with talkSPORT's Natalie Pike.
And it's finished England 7, Jamaica 0. And England really dominated this game. They had over 80% possession. The first goal coming in the 10 minutes. Another beautiful one from Ella Toon, curling the ball from about 20 yards out into the top right of the Jamaica net. They doubled their lead in the 32nd minute, a strong head from Lucy Bronze. Then just before the end of the first half, Ella Toon got her second, and you guessed it, another long-range curling shot. The only negative moment for England in the whole game was a disallowed goal for Jamaica that came in that first half. VAR ruled it offside, but there was some poor England defending that they are going to need to look at. In the second half, the fourth came from Georgia Stanway, 15 minutes in, and she was 15 yards out and slammed the ball into the back of the net. Then Wiegman started making changes, and the good news for England, Lauren James came on. She'd been on the pitch for less than 10 minutes, played a perfect left-footed cross to the back post, which Russo put away. That was the 5th. Then the 6th came, 2 subs linked up, Charles with the cross, Aggie Beaver-Jones with the finish, and then with the last kick of the game, they made it 7-heaven. Beth Mead with a shot that took a slight deflection. This is a real confidence-boosting, ideal send-off for the Lionesses, and currently on the pitch, they are building what I can describe as a Lionesses bridge that I think they're all going to stand behind in a minute. They're going to do an announcement. They're all going to get announced onto the pitch again, or on the pitch, and the players are going to get celebrated by the crowd here. It is their way of saying thank you for all the support. Of course, before we send them off to Switzerland, their first game next Saturday against France. It's finished England 7, Jamaica 0.
Natalie, of course, we had 6 different goal scorers for the Lionesses tonight. Other than that, who impressed you?
I mean, it was impressive displays across the pitch. Got to give a shout out to Ella Toon, who played obviously the 60 minutes and got the 2 goals.
Yeah.
But we've got to mention Lauren James. Of course, everybody's been wondering for months, was she going to make this tournament? This is the first football she's played since April. She's on the pitch for less than 10 minutes.
Wasn't it?
And she did a few of them. She did a few of those as well. So I think England fans here, I mean, every time she got the ball, there was like a sense of anticipation of what's she going to do with it. And I know we all love players like that. So got to give a big shout out to Lauren James.
And obviously the sister of Reece James, who had his own injury problems. So, you know, great that they're both over those, hopefully, because they both got big tournaments coming up. The Euros for Lauren and the World Cup for Reese.
Yeah, I always think about, imagine the two of them playing together when they were in, 5, 6, 7, 8, and how amazing they must have been in their back garden.
I happen to know that they're the family and they're like they're neighbours to me, so I'm very sort of keen that they do exceptionally well, and I'm so glad she's back, and it'll be good for the Lionesses because she just brings some X factor. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, she really does. When she gets the ball, everybody is like almost off their seats wondering what she's going to do, because you just don't know what she's going to do next. And those are all of our absolute favourite players, aren't they, in football? The ones that just bring that anticipation.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Natalie. The Women's Euros is live across the talkSPORT network, including England's first game next Saturday. And for more details, go to talksport.com. Right, last night was the Club World Cup, first and foremost. You enjoyed the Club World Cup parts?
Not watched much of it at all, if I'm honest. I watched a few highlights. I've not really been zoned in on it. It's a tournament that's not really grabbed me.
No, I like the concept of it. I just feel there's been far too much football. We need a break.
The players need a break. Of course they do. They're going to go 12 months of football because they're going to the World Cup. The season starts a little bit later this year, but that's no good if you're in the World Club Cup final. You're literally going to be kicking off the Premier League the week after. So, no rest at all. I mean, all I would say is that, if you're a Manchester City fan, this has been a real kind of lift.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because they're starting to look again. Rodri's back.
And the new players
are settling in.
The lad from Wolves has been brilliant.
Yeah, it's all sort of earmarked as like a comeback for next year.
The return of City.
And there was a thing that I thought about. Lando Norris won today in the F1, which we will talk about a bit later. But, in adversity, when you have that kind of, like last week, Lando had a terrible Grand Prix, or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, and he crashed out, etc., into his teammate. When you have something like that, if you can use that
in your power
to power you up, and I got a feeling Man City the last year, if I was Pep, I would be showing them highlights from that last year, showing this is what you served up, by the way, guys. As a little bit of like really kick in this year, and I think that's why. And I'm not the only one. A lot of people making them favourites again.
What did you make of the whole weather stopping thing last night?
Yeah, it was awful, wasn't it? I mean, I understand it, but I was in Sweden when a pitch announcer got hit by lightning.
Wow!
Fortunately, he survived. But he was on the phone. He was, when the old mic used to be on a cable, going onto the pitch. Bless him, and the lightning must have been attracted to the electricity coming from there and hit him. But he was well. He was okay. But it's a dangerous thing. So I understand why they took the players off and took the fans out of the stadium. But wow, the wait is just like inconceivable. And the rant,
Maresca was
the rant
upset
about whether it should be in America. In some areas of America where actually one of the reasons America wasn't colonized for many, many, many years is because it's uninhabitable. The weather is so extreme and such extreme weather situations where they now have cities, massive cities that are like Kansas and places like that, and Charlotte we was talking about earlier. So you're going to get these freak situations, and it's going to interfere with sport.
The other score in the Club World Cup today: PSG 4, Inter Miami 0.
Well, we watched a bit of that, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was like night and day
levels.
Yeah, and even in that, when they used to do the World Club Championship, where was it, Abu Dhabi or Dubai or something, and you had those 4-game tournaments, the South Americans and the Europeans would always contest the final. The others would, a bit of a, thanks for coming kind of thing.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, well done. And this tournament's been very much like that. There's been, 8 or 10 teams there really not really anywhere near the level of some of the others. Having said that, they're not really, fine-tuned yet. They're all got, a kind of end-of-season feeling about it to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apart from Man City, who obviously have got a point to prove after last year. I think they're the energised side I see in it.
Agreed. So let's have a bit of fun on the show. What is the most incredible or bizarre thing you've seen in a football game? Players fine on the pitch, wasp nets being removed, and a blizzard meaning the penalty spot had to be repainted. Football's seen it all. Got some stories like that we want to hear from you. You only get to pick one. Call us 03717 22 33 or send us a WhatsApp message to the same number. We'll hear from you next on The Final Word. This is song number 2 from 5 with Everybody Get Up. And of course, the first song was UB40, Falling in Love with You. 5 is the name of the group. Pardew, you know 5?
Boy band.
Yeah.
I remember them.
Back together now.
Really?
They're doing an arena tour at the end of...
They're not overweight, are they? I'm not allowed to say that, am I? They're not dancing around the stage.
They will be dancing.
Okay. Were they not... Well...
But all 5 of them are back now. There was always a bit of... discrepancy between some of the members.
Well, they didn't have many hits. I can only remember... Well, I can remember this one, obviously.
I'll tell you what, right? I'm going to throw some names at you.
All right, here we go.
5 official charts. Can
you sing? You need to, like... I'm not going to just know them by the name.
No,
you have to sing it a little bit.
So they've had 3 UK number 1s, 11 UK top 10s.
Yeah, okay. Give us the 3 number 1s, see if I remember.
Okay, so they came into the scene with Slam Dunk the Funk, which was...
Oh, my God.
Number 10.
Slam Dunk the Funk.
Slam Dunk the Funk. Put it up, that's it.
Slam Dunk the Funk.
Then you had Baby When the Lights Go Out. Baby When the Lights Go Out. Did it.
I don't remember that.
That went to number 4. Then they got The Feeling at number 3. And then the one we just heard, Everybody Get Up, went to number 2. Then they had Until the Time Is Through, which was number 2. Then If You're Getting Down, which had the bass line of Last Night a DJ Saved My Life, if I remember rightly.
Okay.
Great bass line.
Okay. But it's all going above my head. Where's the number 1s?
The big one. The big number 1 for you here. 1999 November, Keep On Moving. Great song. Get on up when you're down, baby, take a good look. And then Jay did the When the Rainy Days Are Flying and the bees are flying. That's it. That's it. What was it?
That was good. Who's the producer of that?
I'm not sure.
Usually the producers are like big part of these songs, aren't they?
Then they covered We Will Rock You with Queen. 5 and Queen, that was a number 1. And Let's Dance was number 1. So yeah, they are back together. Big shout out to the 5 boys. 03717223344 and the
Football fans or not? Do we know them? Do you know it?
I'm not too sure. We'll have to find out.
Well, they should ring in. Get one of the team, one of the 5 to ring in.
We've got amazing messages coming through about some people's concerts that they've been to, gigs. Guys, great show as always. Check this out. My favourite concert I've ever been must be Nebworth in 1990.
Nebworth, I remember these big concerts there.
Right. 1990. I can't believe this is the same lineup, but this is what they've got. 1990, Pink Floyd.
Not bad.
Paul McCartney. Eric Clapton.
Oh.
Robert Plant with Jimmy Page.
Wow.
Elton John.
I knew Elton would be in there.
Phil Collins and Genesis. Dire Straits.
Is this a festival at Nebworth?
Must have been, yeah.
Nebworth Festival, was it? What was it called?
Dire Straits, Cliff Richard and the Shadows, and Tears for Fears. It was an unbelievable concert. By the sounds of it, it was.
Well, that's not a concert. That's something else. That's like a festival or a charity thing. It must have been all them big hitters there.
Lads, listen to the UB40 signing off album. It's world class, and their original material before they went commercial. Not just a covers band. That's from the Eagle in Kent.
That was because I said they'd done covers.
Music festivals, Mad. You asked about attending music festivals. 1968, Woburn, first UK festival, saw an up-and-comer. The Jimi Hendrix Experience. The rest is history.
Oh, wow.
That's from Dave the Blue Nose. I was at Molineux in 2003 watching Wolves against Newcastle, and there was a pre-game fire show. A firework fell over and fired into the home end. The woman...
Yeah, I remember that.
The woman it hit was lucky enough to escape with just a broken cheekbone. That's from Pauli, the Newcastle fan. We're talking about some of the strangest things you've seen.
I can tell you, I just thought of a strange thing that happened when I was manager at Charlton.
Okay.
So Andy Woodman's goalkeeper coach, right? He's smashing the balls at the goalie, as you do, to warm him up. He mishits it, and it hits a lady full on in the face, right, in the stand. So there's a bit of an incident. Obviously, the crowd have gone round her, blah, blah, blah. So obviously, I'm involved there. Woody, you're going to buy some flowers, let's move this over. So we do the whole flower thing, right?
Not good enough.
Lovely. No. So you're happy with that. 3 weeks later, he hits her again.
No, he doesn't.
He hits her again. How about that? That is unbelievable, isn't it? He hit the same woman. I don't think he was aiming. It genuinely was both errors. Yeah.
Right,
Isn't that amazing?
Let's talk about weird things that we've seen during football matches. Let's go to Nathan, who's a Newcastle fan. How are we, Nathan?
Hi, mate. Yeah, all good, you?
Yeah, I'm with your former gaffer here, Alan Pardew.
Yeah, hi, Nath.
Oh, I've got a lot of respect for Alan. Like, he's what he did for us in the bad times at Ashley, I thought it was amazing. So thank you very much, Alan.
Thanks, Nathan.
Nathan, what's the weirdest thing
you're forever. You what, sorry, mate?
What's the weirdest thing you've seen at football?
I haven't seen it, but I went to obviously the Boyer and Dyer thing.
Yeah.
I was only young. I wasn't at the game, and then obviously Stephen Taylor acting like he's been shot.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think one of the best ones I heard the other day, well, there's two. There's Dean Windass getting booked when he's not even on the field, trying to stop Rory Delap taking a throw. Have you ever seen that one?
No.
He's warm. So he sends Dean Windass to go get warmed up, and he's trying to stop Rory Delap's throw.
Well, he's run up. Yeah. But I remember the Stephen Taylor one. If anyone's ever never seen it, I can't remember. Is it like, does it hit him and go in or something, and he pretends he got shot?
He hits his side, or he hits sand, and he pretends like he's hurt.
Yeah, I remember it now.
He's such a character, Stephen.
Never mind, you've had two lads sent off for fighting each other.
Yeah.
I think the best thing about that was when Graham Souness made him shake hands in front of the press.
Did he?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
And
you could tell they still hated each other.
Nathan, can you remember who Newcastle were playing that day?
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa, indeed. They were 3-0 down when they had that little ruckus.
Because we had a semi-final against Man United. I think it was the week after. And all Kieran Downley boy was on about was Alan Shearer coming down the tunnel with his umbrellas on. And they were like, he's going to do us in now. Because he knew next week they didn't have a chance.
Oh, dearie me. Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Nathan. I need the talkSPORT breaking news jingle, please. Guys, there's some breaking news parts.
Okay, is that it then?
You ready?
Breaking news. Have we got the team behind us?
I've got it. There it is, the breaking news. talkSPORT understands that João Pedro to Chelsea from Brighton is a done deal.
No.
50 million plus is the transfer fee and 7-year contract.
So they're going to spread the pavements, which obviously gets around the rules, etc.
João will travel on Tuesday for medical tests and contract signing ready for the FIFA Club World Cup.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of these. So they've obviously got it in time, and wow, I think that's a first-class player and fit well with all those young players around him.
That is, if you just joined us, breaking news, João Pedro to Chelsea from Brighton is a done deal, 50 million plus.
We should have kept Nathan on because the Newcastle will be absolutely distraught about that.
Is the transfer fee and a 7-year contract. João will travel on Tuesday for medical tests and contract signing ready for the FIFA Club World Cup. More news to follow here, of course, on talkSPORT. Let's go over to Terry, who's a Chelsea fan. Evening, Tel.
Hello, Pardew. Hello, Majestic. I'm just driving through New Cross and the venue is looming large in front of me. It's been shut for years, but it's a New Cross institution. I want to tell you about a gig I went to, Docklands Arena, just before the O2 opened.
Yeah.
Docklands Arena closed. Anyway, I went to see Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis and Chuck Berry.
What a trio.
Yeah, they did an hour each. Chuck comes up last, and he likes people to get up on stage. I'm there, my mum. It's got to be 20, 25 years ago. I said, Mum, I'm getting up. I get up on stage, the mic's in front of me. I've got about 10,000 people now. I'm shouting out, Chuck Berry! Chuck Berry! I looked at my mic, Chuck's on guitar, and he winked at me. He literally standing next to me, strumming, and I'm on the mic. Fantastic.
Well done,
was that the Rock and Roll Legends tour?
Yeah, it was. I got the most amazing poster indoors of that gig. I just picked one up, and now looking back all these years later, it's probably worth money. All the three of them. I've seen Chuck Berry act the Empire. Famously, he never comes on for an encore. Once he goes off, he stays off. and I've seen him at Café de Paris. How I got tickets for that, I don't know.
Wow.
My ding-a-ling.
500 people. Yeah,
my ding-a-ling, number one for weeks.
He sings them all. Absolutely fantastic. But I've been to many, many great gigs. My next big gig I booked up is Madness and Squeeze at the O2 in December.
Oh, wow. That is a decent lineup, isn't it?
Yeah, both last Saturday, just before Christmas, they're both on at the O2. Squeeze and Madness after.
That's a right good lineup.
Are you taking your mum again?
Mum's coming. She's 84. Mum's coming.
Oh, brilliant! Love that.
She goes. I like Squeeze. They're from local. Glenn Tilbrook lives in Cholton. He's right near the ground. When they're about to go on tour,
they'll do a little word of mouth sound check gig at a pub in Greenwich. I'll get a text that day. Squeeze are playing tonight at the Pelton Arms near the Quayside pub. And you get down there, world-class famous band, 200 people, Ramo.
That is absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Terry.
Proper South London Terry, wasn't he?
Listen, this is why I love music so much, because it, like you said, he's bringing his mum. You know, he's so excited for that Madness and Squeeze gig. That's why my life's great, because it's music and it's sport.
Yeah, well,
and they're the two things that I absolutely love. And seeing all these messages about different gigs, we've got here New York, 1979. The Clash, Sam and Dave, and the Undertones getting out of a yellow cab, go to the gig.
Undertones.
Picture of London Calling for
Who was
the
the lead
album.
singer of the Undertones?
Oh,
can't remember his name. I liked him.
Fergal Sharkey.
Fergal. And he's current at the moment, isn't he? Because he's is it like Rivers? He's trying to protect or something. I might be wrong.
Also met a mate from university en route to see Bruce Springsteen at the MSG the same
Bruce.
night. Oh, wow.
I see Bruce at Wembley do that 3.5 hour gig. Wow.
1973 at Ipswich St Matthew's Swimming Baths, a 4-piece band called Led Zeppelin. For me,
small band.
It's by far the best I've ever seen and probably ever will, because it was an indoor swimming pool by day. They covered the pool with wooden boards, so when it got rocking, we were bouncing up and down without necessarily wanting to. That's from Noodles, the West Ham fan.
Noodles.
Hi, chaps. Great show as ever. There was a lot of consultation last week from commentators and pundits about us, Forest, asking £60 million for Elanga. The João Pedro transfer you just mentioned surely justifies it and why the price is what it is. Makes sense.
Elanga, for me, was one of the best wide players in the Premier League last year. His pace is absolutely frightening. Quickest player, one of the quickest players I see, actually. And I think any Premier League team, your top team, would always want real pace, real frightening pace in your squad. So I can see that valuation.
Keep those calls coming in, and what we need is your WhatsApp voice notes. Grassroots heroes,
absolutely,
is what we want from you, because I want to doff my cap to some grassroots heroes right now, Pards.
Fire away, sir.
Because
it's your right.
My one of my best friends. Right? You know, I've got a lot of friends, but it's one of my best friends. I've known him since we were 4. He was the first person I ever spoke to in primary school. His name is James McManus. We played together as kids.
So you've been in the tuck shop together? And all that,
everything.
done all that.
Played football together, went on our first lads' holidays together, went on each other's stag do's, you know, all of that kind of stuff.
The whole 10 yards.
Yeah. And we both have sons in the same year group, which is great. And he manages the Cuffley.
I was going to say, he's not the manager you're trying to secretly dispose of and take his place.
No, I'm not doing that to any.
No, you did. You said to me, I want to be the manager.
No way. Not happening.
All right. I might have caused some trouble here.
No, you're definitely not. This is the team. I said, they're doing great stuff. And I said that, you know, if Leo was to go to another team, it could possibly be this one. But yeah, the Cuffley Under-8 Eagles, they won the Shield at the Ware FC Summer Tournament today for the first time playing 7-a-side, because they go up next year to 7-a-side.
Okay.
So their first time of playing 7-a-side that they won.
So they're going up from 5-a-side to 7-a-side.
Correct. And today was their first time playing it.
And that pitch is what? Well, how much bigger is that? 20 yards, 30 yards?
Yeah, it's bigger, much bigger pitch, so they get a lot more room. But yeah, so the Under-8 Eagles, Cuffley Under-8 Eagles, won the Shield today at Ware FC. Very, very happy indeed. Charlie McManus, the young man who is the son of my friend James McManus. Well
done, Charlie.
Well done, Charlie and the boys. Remember we had my boxing coach on here?
Yes.
Victor, his son of the same name, Victor, also plays in Cuffley, so he won today as well.
Okay, so they're one of the kind of it teams, are they, up there? They're like one of the big teams.
They're doing good, the Cuffley boys. And, of course, the Cuffley chairman is a big fan of yours because he's a Crystal Palace fan.
Oh, well, that's good.
So well done, Cuffley. If you are wanting to do a shout-out to your grassroots team, you know what to do. WhatsApp voice note, 03717 22 3344. Chelsea fans, let us know what you think about the Pedro signing. But now, because it's Sunday, we want you to keep these coming in. Or we're not going to keep those coming in. 03717 22 3344. Send the WhatsApps in.
Was it a lack of a press of a button there?
Yeah, it's Imagine
Pards.
It's
a really hard job back there. All you got to do is press the button.
It's talkSPORT Imagine Pards. Pard, sing.
Under your skin, then you begin to make it better.
What a tune. Of course, the Beatles' Hey Jude is song number 3, our first 2 songs. UB40, Falling in Love with You, and 5, Everybody Get Up. Laura, she got the right answer.
Already?
So, yeah, we'll see if you got it from that final one. Hey Jude by the Beatles. 5, Everybody Get Up, and UB40, Falling in Love with You are your clues, right?
Can't we just keep playing this song in the background?
Let's leave it on. Yeah, leave it on.
Great song.
I don't like talking over the vocals though. It feels unprofessional.
Oh, good.
Today from 8 p.m. on talkSPORT, you'll be able to hear the latest edition of After the Lights Go Out, featuring the England Rugby Union great James Haskell. In a wide-ranging interview with Steve Harmison and Liam McKenzie, James discusses his high-profile marriage breakup, living with ADHD, struggling in the aftermath of his rugby career, and performing today as an international DJ.
Yeah.
Now, with the fact that technology has evolved, you become also not just a selector but a performer, because you are able to mix 2 tracks, then the third, bring an a cappella and create something. You've got effects, you can build tension, you can take away tension. And I think, unlike rugby, you're engaged with the crowd. They are there to see you. They are not there to see a team. So it's a very different experience, and actually they play much more of a role in DJing than they do in certain rugby crowds.
That's James Haskell, aka Haskell, as he's known as a DJ now. That's After the Lights Go Out with James Haskell this Sunday from 8 p.m. right here on talkSPORT. And there's also...
Yeah, I met James, once at England rugby camp.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I got invited down to Penny Hill Park to watch the boys prepare for, I think it was the Home Nations tournament. And he was on a treatment bed. In a massage or whatever, and a few of the big boys, aren't they? The old rugby boys. And surprisingly, he had pink nail varnish on his feet.
Okay.
And I was like, that's a bit weird. But actually, when you know him and when you see him like interact with people, it was actually very
him,
very normal.
Very him indeed.
Very normal, yeah.
So he is a DJ in his life.
So he stepped into your world.
He's in my world.
Not obviously at your level, but he's in your world.
He is a colleague.
Yeah, I know you're not going to say that, but I can say that.
And I've had him on my my Kiss show many times.
Well, he's a good talker, and he's a larger-than-life character.
He is indeed.
And good luck to him.
In actual fact, we were doing a gig together last year in Ibiza, and he'd been having a good time. I'd been having a good time. He was having such a good time that he played a record twice.
Alcohol involved or not?
I think so. And I did say to him, Hask, you've played this one.
Yeah, maybe you liked it.
So nice, you played it twice. Big shout out to Haskell. We'll check that out straight after us, because I do love the boys on that show, Steve Harmison and good friend of mine, Leon McKenzie.
It's a great theme for a show as well, and I hope that goes really well. It's very important.
Absolutely, because a lot of people do. It's funny because we were talking earlier on about a mutual friend off air, about value, when you're coming out of sport and having self-worth, etc. I think that's sometimes overlooked. I think, as you mentioned before, I think a lot of people on the outside looking in, because there's so many financial rewards to working in such high-profile environments, people think, they've got money, so it's all fine. But the actual self-worth is a really big thing.
Yeah, and also not just sport. People who come out of business and they sell their businesses early and stuff like that, and they've got money. The money is not in the equation even, but it's actually your spirit and your worth. You feel there's a value to it, and when that's not being fed, if you're not getting any kind of hype or anything coming in, it's very disorientating, and people talk that as fame. It's not just genuine. It's not always fame. It's actually the person you've become because of all the adulation of making the money or building the business or whatever suddenly disappears.
Yeah,
and it's a big factor.
And let's go to Theo, who's a Chelsea fan, to react to that news that João Pedro is on the way to Chelsea for £50 million. How are we, Theo?
Good man, John.
Is this a good signing for Chelsea, Theo?
I do believe it is a good signing in terms of and Premier League proven. But when I look at the team, especially the game at the Club World Cup, was Chelsea's squad, very strong squad. But then the team, when I see a PSG kind of system going, all we're missing, I believe, is
quality centre back like Marquinhos, almost a leader, and a good goalkeeper. If we do get that, we'll compete heavily in the league. But I don't get why we're trying to go for all these attackers when we have quality. Cole Palmer will definitely play in the 10 now. Pedro Neto on one wing, and if we get Gittin, you look at that and you're like, that's very strong.
Theo, the Gittins deal feels like it's pretty much done as well, so it looks like he's on the way as well. So I think I see Theo right in terms of the areas I think that Chelsea need to strengthen in, where, as you mentioned, the keeper situation and centre-halves. I think Pardew is probably a more pressing situation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously their model is based around young players, and they have and young attacking players don't really lose much value, so I can see that this is a safe bet for them. He's out of contract soon, and they've taken him on, and this fee looks excessive. But obviously Newcastle wanted him. He's established. He can play through the middle. He can play off the side. He gives you great variation. So I think he's a great player. I think it's a good, it's a big fee, but I think he can justify that fee. But there's some big holes in that Chelsea team, and you're talking about experience and quality and leadership, and I think that's true. And whether they're going to bring that and put that resolution through. For the manager, I don't know, but this fits into their model.
Yeah, it does massively.
But their ambition impresses me. That if you're a Chelsea fan, you can't knock the finance and the ambition of them.
But as I said to you off air, Pods was saying to me last season, he talked about Spurs' transfer window being one that doesn't scream anyone that's going for like top 4 or title contention, which he was absolutely right with. Whereas the Chelsea ambition looks like it's someone who's trying to go for the league. Yeah. As I said, my issue with Chelsea is the fact that there is the lack of leaders there in that camp. And I think until that's addressed, when they get to those little moments in the season like they did last year, there's no one there to sort of drag them all in line. Even down to as petty as, remember the penalty sagas and stuff? Yeah. Arguing over who's taking penalties.
Yeah, that is true.
That doesn't happen with Thiago Silva in the team.
No, and I think Reece James has got a big role to play.
Agreed with that.
And unfortunately for him, the manager, I'm not sure the manager's really all in for Reece, because he kept leaving him out. Whether, he was scared of getting him injured or something, he was so significant in that final. If he didn't come on at half time, I don't think Chelsea win that. No. Forget about Palmer's contribution, how brilliant he was second half. Reece James was probably the biggest factor, in my opinion, about why that game turned around. So he's going to be important to them, but they need more than that. As you say, someone through the middle of the pitch. Ken Casido find some leadership qualities on top of all that brilliance that he has. That would be a key player that I would work on if I was managing there.
But like you said, someone like Reece James, who...
You want someone who's playing every week. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And Casido, Fernandes, they're probably going to play every week, and they're old enough now and experienced enough now to start leading this team.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're hoping for. Let's go to Darren, who's a Newcastle fan. He joins us on the Final Word. Evening, Darren.
How are you doing?
Very well, my friend. We've had a good show today, talking about music, which is nice.
You have. So, you want to hear about my best gig?
I do indeed.
I've got a few, but my sister lives in California, and on a visit there, I went to the Bottle Rock Festival in Napa, where she lives, and we saw the Foo Fighters, who were just the most hard-working, brilliant show. They were just fantastic. And, they had a curfew at 10 o'clock, and David Grohl, they just kept on strumming away and playing, and the music and everything was off, the lights were off, and they just kept going for about 20 minutes.
It's amazing.
They were great. But on the same festival was Tom Petty, and it was not long before he died.
Oh, wow.
He was really good. Really good. Sorry?
Tom Petty, what a songwriter that guy was. His song's incredible. Are you a Tom Petty fan, Pods?
I wouldn't say I was a big fan, but I'm obviously, I know his music, and it was great. The Foo Fighters don't strike me, obviously I'm kind of naive to their brilliance, if you know what I mean. But I have heard them mentioned many times.
Yeah, Darren, of course, when you saw the Foo Fighters, Taylor Hawkins obviously was still with them.
He was.
Yeah, and that mix there with we've had a few mentions already tonight, Darren, of the Foo Fighters being the people's favourite gig. As you mentioned, the energy that they brought together with Taylor on the drums as well, was just phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But on the same gig, it was on the afternoon, like on the same festival. We walked around to one of the stages, and it was House of Pain, who were really good.
Oh, amazing.
I thought, I'm not going to like this, but hey, my pals were there, and I was like, oh wow, these are really good.
It's quite interesting, isn't it, when you go to gigs and you come across a performer or a band that you wouldn't necessarily think you'd be into, and you go, you know what, that was really good. I remember, because I'm a big Muse fan, so is my dad. My dad went to see Muse, and Dizzy Rascal was supporting.
Oh, okay.
And obviously, I know Diz.
Yeah.
And my dad came in and went, Dizzy Rascal's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I told you he is.
Yeah.
Have you ever had anyone like that, Pards? Have you gone to a gig and like the support act's been brilliant?
Well, I got to be honest. I can't think of someone off the top of my head. But I mean, you know,
Plain Old Kev, for example.
Well, there was a guy I did see Plain Old Kev. He was terrific. But you know, it's always amazing. I always think when you go and see, like, someone might say, oh, a family member. So I say, oh, my daughter sings at so and so. You know, she's a singer. She's trying to break in, and you go and see her, and they sound amazing, don't they? But that jump to like being a pop star or a rock star is actually quite significant. It's a bit like football, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can all do it. We can all play football, but you know, that elite level is just on that level above, and it always amazes. And you see these on X Factor, you know, these brilliant vocalists come through, and you just like, you can't imagine why they're not stars, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Still to come before the return of our documentary series After the Lights Go Out, we will reveal who our mystery footballer is, and we will unleash a feature that we stole from Adrian Durham's Drive programme, because producer Ross is still on the beach. This is the final word on talkSPORT. Song number 1, UB40, Falling in Love with You. And song number 2, 5, with Everybody Get Up. And Hey Jude by the Beatles, song number 3. UB40, of course, from Birmingham, from the Midlands. 5, Everybody Get Up. And Hey Jude, the Beatles. An easy one, Pards. Who was the answer?
I'll take it as Jude Bellingham.
Of course it was Jude Bellingham, who turns 20...
I didn't know the answer, but obviously it was quite straightforward.
Jude Bellingham, who turns 22 years of age today.
Well, what a big season he's got, because he had a kind of strange end to the season. So he's got a big season in front of him. A big club. And the World Cup, of course.
Right, so... we've asked you for our WhatsApp messages, and you haven't disappointed as always. Our first voice note comes from Dave, and he wants to give a grassroots shout-out.
Hey up, my jump Pards. Dave the Turkey, currently travelling very far north for work in Ukraine, up to Wick. so I couldn't be there for my son's football tournament today at Barrowford Celtics. Just wanted to say a massive, massive well done to him and all the Clifton Rangers Vespers under 11s for winning the Shield today. A last-minute winner, last-minute goal from the legend that is Little Rocco. Well done, lads, and hopefully see you next Saturday.
I love that. I know what that feeling's like when you have to miss your son or daughter's tournaments. You know,
Yeah, travelling. You do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Murder.
I'm watching it on FaceTime sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, you've got to put
the
it on.
wife is filming it for you.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Up next is James, who tells us the craziest thing he has seen at a football game.
Hi, my name's James. I'm an Arsenal fan from Hastings in East Sussex. I remember being an Arsenal supporter back in '99, near Christmas time at Villa Park. Arsenal were 2-0 up at half-time, and a parachute dressed as Father Christmas tried to come into Villa Park and got caught on one of the stands at Villa Park, which delayed the second half. Yeah, and that's always a memory I'll remember, being at half-time at Villa Park, and then you see a parachute coming down and he gets caught on the stand. Always comical, but yeah, you don't expect to see that.
Santa coming down on the parachute. You do not expect to see it at a football game. Our last voice tonight comes from Kevin, the Tottenham fan, and that's not me, by the way, who has a great connection with Pards.
Pards, great show as always. Been listening to you on the way back from Spurs Legends ex-Spurs game that we had in St Ives today. Raised lots of money for charity, which is great. And Pards, although you've not got a legacy number, I've got one, mate. It's number 600. But I played with you, didn't I, in the Intertoto Cup, and then you signed me off the back of that for a little bit of money at Reading, and we had some good times. So it's Kev Watson. Hope you're well, mate. But we've been having this discussion, and I'm sure you would know Mark Falco, Pascal Chumbonda, Stuart Nevercott, Brian Statham, to name but a few. Would you be Ange in or Ange out at the time? Obviously, we know that it's Ange out now, but as a manager, would you have expected the tin tack after winning a European trophy or not? Let me know.
Brilliant there. Kevin Watson there.
Kevin Watson. Let me tell you about Kev, right? When I played him at Reading, he couldn't run much, Kev. When I say couldn't run much, he was a bit slow. But he could ping the ball from left to right or right to left on a sixpence from about 60, 70 metres regularly.
That sounds like all of us Kevs. We don't run much, but we can ping.
Well, yeah, I can see that. So he would get it off the back four in a sort of number 6 position and then ping it out to my right wing or ping it out to my left wing and stretch the pitch. He didn't have to run. And then he could just support the play and keep pinging it all over the place. He was a brilliant footballer, and I love him. So that's Kev. Now the Ange question, you know where I was with the Ange. For me, losing 22 games at Spurs, I would have expected the sack. I would have been focusing on the cup. I'll be looking to win it to kind of keep myself in a job. And then if I won it, I'd be fingers crossed a little bit. But I'm pretty confident, as I said to you, Madge, that with 22 defeats in a season at a club like Spurs, too much water would have gone under the bridge with me and the owner and the directors and people around the football club who I thought perhaps weren't supporting me or was disappointed with, that there was only one real move for Daniel Levy, I think. And I think that was probably why.
So Kev will be managing Sheffield United for the 25-26 season.
Yeah, I can imagine Kev being a good manager.
Right, thank you very much for all those voice notes. Amazing to get Kev Watson there as well. Let's talk about Alan's...
Let's go back to the legacy number. I mean, they've had a charity game. They didn't invite me to that. I mean, not only do I get a legacy number, I don't even get invited to a Spurs, Legends Vets game. I can still, run around and shout a bit.
I've got to see this. Legacy numbers, the full...
what was he, 600?
600, yeah, he's got one.
Well, he's got 600.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good one, isn't it? It's not like 601. Who's 601? That's not a good number. 600.
Legacy numbers, the full list. I've got them here. Mate, listen, I'm going to have a word with the club.
It's a joke.
It is a joke, isn't it? I'm flicking through to go and find
I put my career on the line to go and play in the Toto Cup for them. We have all the kids.
600. Yeah, Kevin Watson. 600. After Sheringham was 599 and Nick
The only thing that come out good for that Intertoto for me was Kev. because I signed him at Reading. He was terrific.
Right, let's do Alan's any other business as we doff our cap to the GOAT. That's Adrian Durham. If you used to listen to Drive with Goffey
Yeah,
and
I've got
Durham.
some other business. Formula One, Lando Norris, well done. An Englishman who had adversity last week, come back, used it as a bit of adrenaline to go and win the Grand Prix today. So hats off to him. Hats off to all the mechanics and everyone at McLaren, because they got another 1-2 today. And, it goes under the radar a little bit how powerful this country is in F1. Most of the teams are based here. Most of the mechanics, all the stats guys, all the clever stuff that goes on in the background, very English based. So brilliant technicians we have here. So there's a cap off to them. And my other one I want to talk about is the Lions.
The Lions, indeed.
Who have had 2 warm-up games. One they lost to Argentina.
A good Argentina, by the way.
A good Argentina. And they won yesterday, which I watched. Very difficult. Can you imagine getting the pick of a Premier League, right? You get the whole pick of the Premier League to put a team together and try and gel it together. So so the Lions are basically an Irish, Scottish, Welsh, English team, sort of all the best put together to try and get a rugby team that can take on the best teams in the world. And this tour is Australia, and the fans of the Lions are absolutely, all in. They travel, they'll go anywhere, they'll do anything to follow them, and it's a brilliant concept. And I think the players must love it. But I feel for the manager, Farrell's the manager this time, to try and bring it all together. It's not easy because it is such a technical game, and it's probably more a team sport than football in terms of the technical sides to it. You got sort of teams within the team. Well done to them, a great result, and hopefully they can see it through and win the tests.
Yeah, 54-7 against Western Force.
Yeah, they didn't start off great. It was they were struggling a little bit, but then their quality and their confidence come to them, and they just overpowered them.
Yeah, my old muck Alex Mitchell with a try.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
and Pollock, the young like Wayne Rooney. We've got a Wayne Rooney in rugby.
We have comparison, to be fair.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff, yeah. And of course, the only place for your England and Ireland Lions coverage is here on talkSPORT.
Of course it is.
The place to be. Alfie Reynolds is out there as well, so we'll be giving you all the build-up as well. That's all from us today. But the talkSPORT Breakfast Show is back tomorrow from 6 a.m. with Jeff Stelling and Super Ali McCoist. But if you need some music in your life, go to the new talkSPORT app, swipe across to friend of the show, Chris Evans on Virgin Radio. And your mate, Ryan
Cubberty.
We'll be back next week. No, I won't be back next week.
I will be.
You're going to be back. I'm going to be at St. George's Park.
That's where I should be. What are you doing there?
Going for my badges.
Oh my God, it's like reverse. So I'm going to be a DJ and you're going to be at St. George's.
I'm at the peak. We love grassroots football. This is the peak of the grassroots. My son's playing at St. George's Park.
In like the finals or something.
In like a finals of a national tournament. And I can't miss that.
I should be there as well.
You should be there. Yeah. Maybe I'll come to you live from St. George's Park.
Okay.
Let's go to the matches live at St. George's Park. Yeah. That's all from us.
That's going to hurt me, that will.
Pards will be back next week. But coming up next is our brilliant documentary series, The Return of Lights Out. From Imagine Pards.
Good night.